Chapter 4022 Chapter 4022 The Second Prince, 3. Chapter 4022 The Second Prince, 3. Princess Yen-Ling looked like she had really lost it. When Shi Jian came out to stop her, she stabbed Shi Jian in the shoulder blade and sent her flying. Although it wasn't enough to kill Shi Jian, it was enough to destroy most of Shi Jian's cultivation. Feng Wu gave the maid a sympathetic look. The maid really didn't know how to read faces. Right now, Feng Wu was hiding behind Princess Yen-Ling and wouldn't say anything. Many people in the second prince's residence were alarmed. There were guards and advisors, but most of them were servants. Naturally, the servants didn't dare to show their faces, and the guards were the first to come out. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. A team of armed guards stepped out. Whoosh. A team of crossbowmen arrived after them. The saber guards surrounded Princess Yen-Ling in a circle, while the crossbowmen fanned out. They were ready to shoot at any moment. A bloodbath was imminent. Seeing this, Princess Yen-Ling smirked. How dare these people offend me? With a wave of her hand, all the guards in the front row were decapitated. Go to hell! Intimidated, Princess Yen-Ling showed no mercy. She turned all the humiliation she suffered in the past few days into a murderous intention and was going to kill all these people. More than half of the 100 saber guards were killed by Princess Yen-Ling in the blink of an eye. Saber guards, retreat! The crossbowmen, get ready! There came a cold voice. It was the captain of the guards of the second prince's residence. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh! They were ready to shoot Princess Yen-Ling. Just then, Nightlight, the second prince, rushed out and his pupils contracted when he saw Princess Yen-Ling. Stop! Stop! Nightlight shouted. The crossbowmen stopped at the last moment, or the consequence would have been unimaginable. Princess Yen-Ling! However, before Nightlight could finish, Princess Yen-Ling stepped forward and slapped him hard in the face. Princess Yen-Ling had used all her strength, and the second prince couldn't withstand it. He stumbled back. Behind him, the others all glared at Princess Yen-Ling. The battle was going to start again. Nightlight was filled with hatred, but he knew that she was from the Empire of Dian. If he offended her, he would be in a lot of trouble. At that thought, Nightlight glared at Princess Yen-Ling. Princess, why don't you tell us what you're here for first before you decide what to do? Princess Yen-Ling stared at him in disgust and smirked. Fine. Since you're asking for it, I'll give you a chance to speak. Princess, would you like to come in then? Nightlight beamed at her, although the smile didn't reach his eyes. Princess Yen-Ling walked in without hesitation, followed by Nightlight. Your Royal Highness, the captain of the second prince's guards was about to follow him, but the second prince waved at him. Wait outside. No one is to come in without my permission. But Your Royal Highness, the captain was worried about him. Nightlight waved him off. Don't worry. She won't dare to kill me. She doesn't know what I have. Tell Yuanhe to come here. Yuanhe was Nightlight's most trusted guard and had always been by his side. He was also the one who brought Princess Yen-Ling to Nightlight. Chapter 4023 Chapter 4023 Secret Conversation 1 Chapter 4023 Secret Conversation 1 Nightlight and Princess Yen-Ling entered the main hall. They were the only people in the hall. Nightlight smiled obsequiously. Princess Yen-Ling, please take a seat. Let's talk like civilized people. You're a lady, and it'll be very embarrassing if you lose your temper. However, Princess Yen-Ling slapped him before he could finish. Nightlight, how dare you? The second prince was infuriated as well. He looked at Princess Yen-Ling with a malicious look in his eyes. Princess Yen-Ling ignored him and looked into his eyes. Choose which way you're going to die. Standing or kneeling. Nightlight stared at Princess Yen-Ling. I see that you don't want to talk to me anymore. Talk to you. Princess Yen-Ling sneered at him. About what? Nightlight found a seat and said, "Princess, we're." Turning around, Princess Yen Ling glared at him and was about to stab him with her sword. But this time, Nightlight caught the tip of the sword between his fingers. Princess Yen Ling said, "How dare you?" Nightlight chuckled. "I've done what I did. Why should I be afraid?" Princess Yen Ling said, "So, you admit that you did it?" Nightlight studied Princess Yen Ling from head to toe before asking with a smile, "What did I do?" Princess Yen Ling said, "You're shameless." Nightlight smirked. "I'm shameless? You're the one who went to my bed, aren't you? What are you if I'm shameless? Are you trying to humiliate yourself?" Princess Yen Ling's eyes were bloodshot red. "Nightlight, I'm going to kill you." Nightlight smirked. "Did I say something wrong? Didn't you come to me on your own? I was at home. I opened the door to find you lying in bed." Princess Yen Ling's face was livid. "Bullshit!" Nightlight said, "Of course I'm telling the truth. You were the one who came to me that day." Princess Yen Ling stared at Nightlight. "I'm not your match, but are you sure you want me to bring Grandpa Ma here? Wasn't he the peak spiritual saint?" Nightlight was a capable cultivator, but he was nowhere near as capable as a peak spiritual saint, who could easily kill him with a finger. Jun Linshan's face darkened. Princess Yen Ling stared at him. "Tell me everything that happened that day. I know you aren't bold enough." Nightlight didn't want to say anything at first, but under Princess Yen Ling's pressure, he had no choice but to say, "Princess, you were lying by the side of the road when you were injured. Yuanhe didn't know who you were, but he had to carry you back home when he saw your naked body and the wounds on you." Princess Yen Ling flared up. "Nonsense! Since when am I injured? Why would I lie on the side of the road naked?" Nightlight shrugged. "Princess, it doesn't matter if you don't believe me. That was how Yuanhe found you. All the maids and servants saw it when he carried you in. I'm sure of it." Princess Yen Ling gritted her teeth. How could this happen? How could she? Princess Yen Ling tried her best to recall, but she couldn't remember anything. Chapter 4024 Chapter 4024 Secret Conversation 2 Chapter 4024 Secret Conversation 2 Nightlight glanced at Princess Yen Ling and told the chief steward, "Go fetch Yuanhe." The chief steward wanted to say something but hesitated. Nightlight said angrily, "What are you waiting for?" Only then did the chief steward go in and whisper something in his ear. Nightlight asked, "What? He's dead?" The chief steward nodded. He was sitting at his desk and was ambushed from behind. Nightlight turned around and stared at Princess Yen Ling. Princess Yen Ling frowned. "Why are you staring at me?" Nightlight rose to his feet and quickly headed for Yuanhe's courtyard. Yuanhe was the second prince's most capable guard and most trusted strategist. How could the second prince not be worried when he was assassinated? "Stop right there!" Princess Yen Ling bellowed, but Nightlight wouldn't stop. So she had to follow him. Nightlight rushed into the room to find Yuanhe lying dead on the table. Staring at the dead body on the desk, Princess Yen Ling's eyes glinted coldly. Was this the person who had carried her into the manor? If the second prince was telling the truth, then Yuanhe was the lead. But now Yuanhe had been killed. Who killed him? The most profitable person should be the most suspect. Could it have been Nightlight? Just then, Nightlight found some words carved on the table. To be more precise, there was only 1.5 words, which Yuanhe had carved with his nails before he died. The first word was yen. The second word was lit. Nightlight jolted. That was it. The fact that Princess Yen Ling had come to the private residence meant that she remembered what happened the other day. Naturally, she remembered that Yuanhe had carried her in, and now she had taken her revenge on the man, making it difficult for Nightlight to explain himself. Princess Yen Ling was trying to set him up. Nightlight thought that Princess Yen Ling had killed Yuanhe, and Princess Yen Ling thought that it was Nightlight's doing. As a result, the misunderstanding grew bigger. Feng Wu was the one who had set the trap. Meanwhile, Feng Wu was watching things happen according to her plan, and she was only a facilitator and a bystander. "You killed him! You killed him!" They spoke in unison. "Heh!" They snorted in unison again. Princess Yenling said coldly, "He's dead. What more do you have to say now? Do you have anything to say about what happened the other day?" Night Light frowned. "Didn't you kill Yuanhe?" Princess Yenling said, "Are you trying to frame me?" Night Light said, "You killed him. If you don't believe me, we'll take it to my father and ask for his opinion." The Dongsang King? Princess Yenling didn't want to, because it was her privacy. If what happened to her got out, as a woman she would be in a lot of trouble. When that happened, the Dongsang Emperor would make Night Light marry her for the sake of their dignity. At that thought, the look in Princess Yenling's eyes turned grimmer, and she was filled with rage. Night Owl didn't even dare to make a sound in front of her. Who the hell did this second prince think he was? "If you can't explain yourself, go to hell." Princess Yenling struck out without hesitation. Night Light jumped. Chapter 40-25 Chapter 40-25 Secret Conversation 3 Chapter 40-25 Secret Conversation 3 "You're a shrew. You used to call me your husband in bed, but now you're treating me like this. Princess Yenling, do you think I'm that easy to bully?" She bullied him. Princess Yenling almost laughed out of anger. "You can say whatever you want. You are going to die today anyway." With that said, Princess Yenling grabbed Night Light's throat. There wasn't much difference between their cultivation levels. Princess Yenling was slightly stronger, and Night Light was caught off guard, so Yenling succeeded. "Die!" A dagger flew out from Princess Yenling's sleeve, and was about to stab into Night Light's heart. But at this critical moment, "Yenling, do you think that I won't leave any evidence for what happened that night?" Night Light sneered. Princess Yenling was stunned. "What did you say?" Night Light sneered again, but this time, he was much more confident. He looked at Princess Yenling mockingly. "Don't tell me you forgot that you gave us a gift when you came to the Dongsang Kingdom." Princess Yenling naturally remembered. What she gave the Dongsang Kingdom were 10 spiritual fossil stones. The ancient technology of the Dian Empire was advanced, and such divine fossils with recording functions weren't rare. Therefore, she casually grabbed some from her mansion and threw them in her luggage. When she saw the Dongsang King, she took them out as gift. Night Light stared at Princess Yenling and sneered. "Father gave me 2 of the spiritual fossil stones that you gave to Dongsang." Princess Yenling gritted her teeth and glared at the Night Light. "What did you do with the spiritual fossil stone?" Night Light said, "Take a wild guess." Princess Yenling sneered. "I don't believe you would do that." Night Light sneered. "You don't believe me? In that case, you can see for yourself." After saying that, Night Light took out a spiritual fossil stone from his sleeve and put it in front of a white wall. Immediately, an image appeared. The scene slowly unfolded. First, it was the bed, then the woman on the bed. Princess Yenling's pupils constricted. At that time, she was in a semi-conscious state. Damn it! Princess Yenling destroyed the wall with a slap, but she couldn't destroy the image in the spiritual fossil stone. "Give it to me." Princess Yenling gritted her teeth in anger. Damn it! How could such a scene be recorded? Night Light still felt that she wasn't upset enough. He stared at her with a smile. "Do you know why I keep this spiritual fossil stone with me every day?" Anger gathered in Princess Yenling's eyes. However, Night Light continued to provoke her. "Because I'll watch it day and night. You deserve to die." Princess Yenling grabbed his collar. She had never suffered such humiliation in the Dian Empire, but in the tiny Dongsang Kingdom, she was actually forced to this extent. Night Light sneered. "WHV should I die? You were the one who crawled into MV bed and begged for my love. As for the future, Yen Ling, with this spiritual fossil stone in hand, do you still dare to kill me? Do you still dare to disobey me? Do you still dare to disobey my orders? Everything you have is in my hands. Night Light had never felt so confident before. From now on, I am your master. Now kneel. Night Light sneered as he stared at her. Princess Yen Ling looked at Night Light as if she was looking at a retard. However, Night Light was still urging her, hurry up, kneel and call me master. Princess Yen Ling was furious. Chapter 40-26 Chapter 40-26 Kill him. Chapter 40-26 Kill him. Night Light threatened her. If you don't listen, the scene in this spiritual fossil stone. You don't want everyone in Donglin City to see it, right? Princess Yen Ling glared at him. A sinister smile appeared on Night Light's face. Come on. Kneel. Night Light thought everything was going well. He had a trump card in his hand. If he controlled Princess Yen Ling, wouldn't the Dian Empire be able to help him in the future? With the help of the Dian Empire, why would he be afraid of Night Owl? Even the Dongsang King couldn't do anything to him, let alone Night Owl. At that time, it wasn't impossible to force the king to abdicate. Thinking of this, Night Light was in a state of excitement. However, he never dreamed that. A hand grabbed his neck. Yen Ling, you. Soon, Night Light couldn't make a sound. Princess Yen Ling stared at him fiercely. In the next moment, she snatched the spiritual fossil stone from his hand. You want to threaten me? Princess Yen Ling sneered. Those who can threaten me are no longer alive. You're no exception. Crack, crack. There was the sound of bones breaking. You will regret this. That was the last thing that Night Light said. At this moment, a group of people rushed in. Some of them were Princess Yen Ling's subordinates, including Feng Wu. But most of them were Night Light's subordinate. When the chief steward and the chief guard saw Night Light's body on the ground, they were completely stunned. They could not believe what was happening in front of them. That was Night Light. The prince of the kingdom had died just like that? That was impossible. Your Royal Highness! The chief steward and the guard captain rushed up and shook Night Light with all their might. As they shook him, they roared at the top of their lungs. Blood trickled down the corner of Night Light's mouth. He's not breathing. There's no pulse. The chief steward and the chief guard exchanged a look and then stared at Princess Yen Ling. There were only two people in the room. Night Light was dead and the murderer was. Princess Yen Ling ignored these people. She scanned her surroundings coldly and looked up at the person on the roof. Grandpa Ma, I'll leave it to you. Ma Quan frowned slightly and looked a little displeased. He heard the conversation inside. He knew everything. He could understand Princess Yen Ling's anger, but, Grandpa Ma, help me destroy this mansion. No one is allowed to leave. Princess Yen Ling gritted her teeth. What if there are backup divine fossils? What if someone leaves with the spiritual fossil stone? I will not allow such a thing to happen. Although Ma Quan was at the Spirit Saint stage, he was still an employer of Prince Yan's residence. He had to listen to Princess Yen Ling. After all, it was the resources of Lord Yan's residence that supported him back then. Sure. What Night Light had done to the princess was enough to have his whole family destroyed. Feng Wu watched in shock. The Night Light manor was filled with screams, tragic cries, and fire. Princess Yen Ling was standing on the street outside, staring at the flames that filled the sky. The Night Light residence occupied an entire street, and the next street was Night Owl's residence. At this moment, Night Owl was already alarmed. Night Light's mansion is on fire. Night Owl stared at the chief steward. What happened? The chief steward hurriedly said, there was a commotion in the Night Light residence. Cries kept coming. Some said that Prince Night Light is dead. Night Owl suddenly stood up. Chapter 40:27 Chapter 40:27 Night Light died 1. Chapter 40:27 Night Light died 1. Night Owl suddenly stood up from his seat and looked at the chief steward in disbelief. He wanted to run out, but he quickly stopped. "Hurry up and investigate," Night Owl ordered anxiously. There might be a reason for this. Could Night Light really have? No, that's impossible. This kid had always been arrogant and domineering. After so many years, who could? Could it be? Thinking of this, Night Owl went straight into the secret room and met up with Lord Jing. "You mean that Night Light and Princess Yenling have already gotten into a conflict?" Lord Jing thought that his plan was starting to work, so he got up excitedly. Night Owl nodded. "Indeed," Lord Jing said. "Let's go and take a look." The two of them separated and walked out of their respective residences before heading toward Night Light's residence. Princess Yenling had already left. Therefore, when Night Owl and Lord Jing arrived, they saw the ruins. Night Owl fished out a person from the well in the ruins. It was the chief steward of the mansion. In broad daylight, the entire Night Light residence was massacred. Only the chief steward saw that things were getting out of hand and quickly jumped into the well, which was why he survived. "Your Royal Highness, Lord Jing." The steward, whose face was half burnt, knelt down and wrapped his arms around their thighs, crying until he almost fainted. "What happened?" Night Owl and Lord Jing looked at each other with joy in their eyes. Night Light was the biggest obstacle in Night Owl's path to power. Getting rid of him would only be beneficial to Night Owl. Furthermore, they had succeeded in pinning the blame on Night Light. Furthermore, Princess Yenling had actually massacred almost everyone in the Night Light residence in broad daylight. This accusation, did she think that she could get away so easily? There were only two people that Night Owl hated in the Dongsang Kingdom. Now that one was dead, the other wouldn't have an easy time. It was then that the chief steward realized that Night Light and Night Owl were mortal enemies. He couldn't ask Night Owl for help, so he turned to Lord Jing and said, "My lord, it was Princess Yenling. She killed Prince Night Light with her own hands, and they wiped out our whole residence. I want to see His Majesty. Please take me to see His Majesty." Lord Jing gave Night Owl a hint and Night Owl nodded. It was indeed inconvenient for him to handle it, so Lord Jing was the best person for the job. At this moment, there were already a large number of commoners around. They were pointing at the scene in front of them. However, the news of Princess Yenling killing Night Light and destroying the Night Light residence in broad daylight had already spread like wildfire in Donglin City. Night Owl, who had returned to the mansion, couldn't help but guffaw. He laughed so hard that tears were about to fall. What an incredible move! However, Princess Yenling was so arrogant. She actually killed Night Light on the spot. She was so bold. Meanwhile, in the palace. What? The Dongsang King slammed the table and stared at Lord Jing. "What did you say?" Lord Jing said sadly. "Princess Yenling killed Night Light and killed more than 400 people in the mansion. She left in broad daylight without hiding anything." "This isn't happening." The Dongsang King wouldn't believe it. How was this possible? Princess Yenling had come to the Dongsang Kingdom to work with them. How could she dare? Chapter 40:28 Chapter 40:28 Night Light died 2. Chapter 40:28 Night Light died 2. "His Majesty, Night Light is dead," Lord Jing cried and sounded angry. The king was anxious and angry. He shot a look at the eunuch beside him. The chief eunuch hurriedly bowed and said, "I'll go and investigate now." In less than 5 minutes, the eunuch returned. His face was pale, and he stumbled along the way, panting heavily. "Your Majesty! Your Majesty!" The eunuch knelt down in front of the Dongsang King and said mournfully, "Prince Night Light is dead." "Prince Night Light is dead? What did you say?" The Dongsang King stared at his most trusted eunuch. The chief eunuch nodded solemnly. The king was shocked. What happened? Tell me the truth. The chief eunuch said the same thing as Lord Jing. The murderer he was talking about was Princess Yanling as well. Princess Yanling was really arrogant. She didn't hesitate to kill the prince and destroy the mansion. Moreover, she didn't hide after the killing. She stood in front of the burning mansion and watched. After that, she left. What did that mean? She was clearly extremely arrogant. After hearing the eunuch's words, the Dongsang king clenched his fists, and the blue veins on his forehead throbbed. There was dead silence all around. Lord Jing knew that although the king was angry, he was still hesitating and weighing the pros and cons. In the end, he would probably make peace. But there's no witness, said the Dongsang king. Lord Jing stood up and said seriously, when I got there, Princess Yanling had already left, but I still picked up a man from the well. He's the steward of Prince Nightlight. He can testify for this matter. The Dongsang king stared at Lord Jing coldly. Lord Jing pretended not to understand. He lowered his head and looked very loyal. The Dongsang king looked much older. He waved his hand and said, "Bring the witness up." Nightlight's chief steward was immediately brought up. The Dongsang king narrowed his eyes dangerously and stared at him warningly. "Tell me what exactly happened." The chief steward prostrated and told the Dongsang king about Princess Yanling's attack on the mansion. In the end, he cried and said, "Princess Yanling and Prince Nightlight were alone in the room. When we barged in, the prince was already on the ground, and Princess Yanling was standing with her hands behind her back. She admitted that she was the one who killed him. It's not enough that she killed the prince. She even ordered Senior Ma to kill everyone in the residence. His Majesty, that was Prince Nightlight. Why would she dare? Why would she?" The chief steward cried uncontrollably. He felt like his head was going to explode. In his eyes, the royal family was an honorable and dignified existence. But now, Princess Yanling had humiliated the entire royal family, telling them that the Dongsang kingdom was like an ant in her eyes. She could beat and kill anyone she wanted. How humiliating was this? The Dongsang king clenched his fists in anger, his knuckles turning white. However, the old steward cried and added, "Your Majesty, is this still your Dongsang kingdom? Is this still our Dongsang kingdom? Are we really not the inferior slaves of the Dian Empire? If they dare to treat our prince like this, then your Majesty—" "Shut up!" Before the Dongsang king could speak, the eunuch beside him kicked the old steward and sent him flying. "Please calm down, your Majesty." The chief eunuch knelt down and asked for forgiveness. Chapter 40:29 Chapter 40:29 Arrogant Words 1. Chapter 40:29 Arrogant Words 1. At this moment, the Dongsang king was indeed furious. The Dongsang kingdom and the Dian Empire were allies, and the Dian Empire was like a big brother, but that was all. Killing a prince in broad daylight was simply indescribable. "Go and arrest that princess," the Dongsang king said to Lord Jing. Lord Jing said, "Princess Yanling has a peak spiritual saint." "Don't tell me my kingdom doesn't have a peak spiritual saint? Senior brother Min." As soon as the Dongsang king finished speaking, a figure appeared in front of everyone. It was a green-robed middle-aged man dressed like a Taoist priest. He looked sage-like and quite unapproachable. "Senior brother Min, please come with me." The Dongsang king called him senior brother with a sincere gaze. Lord Min nodded at the Dongsang king and walked out without saying anything else. Lord Jing followed him. He couldn't help but mutter inwardly. He had always heard that the Dongsang king had a super expert protecting him, but it turned out to be this senior brother Min. Could he really be the king's senior brother? Then the king's cultivation level. Lord Jing had all kinds of guesses, but he didn't slow down. Just as they were heading to Princess Yanling's residence. That's right, Princess Yanling had made this residence, Prince Yan's residence, just like the one in the Dian Empire. In Prince Yan's residence, Princess Yen Ling was sitting in her room. She stared at the spiritual fossil stone in her hand with an ashen expression. Just the thought of that bastard night light taking it out from time to time to admire it made Princess Yen Ling want to destroy the entire night light family. However, she still had some rationality, so she only killed Night Light to vent her anger. This is simply unacceptable. Princess Yen Ling paced around the room angrily. As she walked, she said to Ma Quan Quan, "Grandpa Ma, I'm still very angry. I can't help but want to kill someone." Ma Quan Quan frowned. She knew the reason for Princess Yen Ling's anger. To be honest, he was also very angry, but, "Princess, we need to think about the big picture." Ma Quan Quan could only say this. The big picture. It's always the big picture. Screw the big picture. I've never been humiliated like this since I was a child. He humiliated me, but he still dared to threaten me and manipulate me. Killing him alone won't be enough. Ma Quan Quan had a headache. "Princess, what do you mean?" Princess Yen Ling said, "He wasn't born from a rock. I can't kill his father, but I can kill his mother? Yes, that's it." Princess Yen Ling clapped her hands and said to Ma Quan Quan, "Grandpa Ma, please bring me the head of Night Light's mother." Ma Quan Quan refused this time. "Princess, it's not wise to offend Dongseng." Princess Yen Ling was enraged. "What's wrong with that? It's just a petty kingdom. What's wrong with me offending them? What's wrong with me humiliating them? What's wrong with me killing their prince? No one in the Dongseng kingdom can stop me from doing anything." "Princess, you're an ambassador now. You can't be willful." Ma Chuanchuan's eyes were cold. "So what? If the strengths of both sides are equal, then I will naturally respect them. However, the Dongseng kingdom is only Dian's dog. Why should I give them any respect? It's their honor to be enslaved by me." Chapter 40:30 Chapter 40:30 Arrogant Words 2 Chapter 40:30 Arrogant Words 2 This time, Ma Quan Quan frowned. He glared at Princess Yen Ling. "Princess, keep these thoughts to yourself in the future." Princess Yen Ling didn't think much of it. "Why should I? I always say what's on my mind. What's the point of hiding it?" "Princess, is that how you see the Dongseng kingdom?" A voice rang out outside. Princess Yen Ling turned around and saw a familiar face. It was Lord Jing. "You!" Princess Yen Ling glanced at Lord Jing. Princess Yen Ling held grudges against him for the conflict they had. Lord Jing and Master Min came in together. When Lord Jing looked at Princess Yen Ling, Ma Quan Quan and Master Min exchanged looks. One look and they knew each other's cultivation level. They were about the same level. Master Min remained unperturbed, but Ma Chuanchuan's stomach lurched. Why did the Dongseng kingdom bring a peak spiritual saint here? However, Master Min had concealed his energy, so Princess Yen Ling had no idea how capable he was. Therefore, she gave Lord Jing a contemptuous look. "Why, what brings you here?" Princess Yen Ling didn't think much of Lord Jing at all. Lord Jing said coldly, "Don't you know what you've done?" Outside, Feng Wu was thrilled to see them. While served the tea, she stole a glance at Master Min. Although Master Min didn't exert his full power, Feng Wu had a feeling that he was very capable. "Who gave you the permission to serve tea? You should know better. You're humiliating the Empire." Princess Yen Ling scolded Feng Wu. Naturally, Feng Wu feigned a terrified look. Staring at Princess Yen Ling, Lord Jing smirked. "Princess, there's no need to make indirect accusations. What's the point of stalling?" "Stalling?" Princess Yen Ling turned to stare at Lord Jing. "Are you saying that I'm stalling? Who am I to stall for time? Do you think I'll do that for you?" Lord Jing gave her a half-smile. "Princess Yen Ling, who do you think you are? And what about the Dongseng kingdom?" Although he had heard Princess Yen Ling's bragging in the courtyard, he still felt that it wasn't enough. He had to give the silly princess an opportunity to make a fool of herself. Of course, the arrogant Princess Yen Ling couldn't stand such provocation. She smirked and said, "Dian is superior, and the Dongsang kingdom is inferior. Do you have no self-awareness at all? Do you have to wait for me to say it?" Ma Quan stared at her and said sternly, "Princess." She could say that in Dian, but she couldn't say it aloud in the Dongsang kingdom. The empire was indeed more powerful than the Dongsang kingdom, but if the Dongsang kingdom was infuriated, the people would join hands to fight against the empire. It wouldn't be a good thing. What Princess Yen Ling didn't know was that her words had been recorded. The one recording it was none other than Little Phoenix. It was Feng Wu's instruction. Chapter 40-31 Chapter 40-31 Arrogant Words 3. Chapter 40-31 Arrogant Words 3. Little Phoenix gave Feng Wu a proud look, and Feng Wu gave it an approving look. Little Phoenix was even more enthusiastic, and its spiritual fossil stone almost hit Princess Yen Ling in the face. Ma Quan looked around and said, "If word gets out, it won't do the empire or the Dongsang kingdom any good." Ma Quan was Lord Jing's nominal master, so of course he had to listen. But Lord Jing's face was livid, and his hands were trembling from agitation. An inferior race? Lord Jing pointed at Princess Yen Ling. "Say that again." Princess Yen Ling smirked. "What? Are you afraid to listen? I'll repeat myself. The Dongsang kingdom is Princess." Ma Quan bellowed. Meanwhile, Master Min, who was standing next to Lord Jing, exerted all his power, crushing Princess Yen Ling until she blanched. Only then did he say coldly, "There are things you can and can't say. Princess, please think it through." "You!" Princess Yen Ling's teeth chattered as she stared at the blurry face. The energy the man gave off was very similar to that of Grandpa Ma. Could he be? Seeing that Princess Yen Ling was in a lot of pain, Ma Quan blocked her way and stared at Master Min. Master Min stared back at him. Instantly, spiritual essence gathered around them, and the air seemed to fluctuate. As Princess Yen Ling stumbled back, so did Lord Jing. The two of them had to jump out of the circle to let out a breath of relief. The powerhouse at the peak of the spiritual saint stage was so terrifying that they could barely breathe. Ma Quan frowned at Master Min. "Is that how the Dongsang kingdom treats the empire?" Master Min threw the question back at him. "Does Princess Yen Ling represent the empire?" Ma Quan said, "Of course not." Only then did Master Min snort. "Good." He then walked toward Princess Yen Ling. Ma Quan blocked his way. "What are you doing?" Master Min said, "Leave her to me." It was obvious that Master Min was going to interrogate Princess Yen Ling. "No." Princess Yen Ling turned him down right away. "I'm not going anywhere. The Dongsang kingdom wants to incriminate me, but I won't have it." Lord Jing said, "His Majesty wants to see you. Princess Yen Ling, please come with us." The Dongsang king? The father of the second prince that she had killed. Do I have to see him just because he wants to see me? Don't make me laugh. Princess Yen Ling smirked. Lord Jing asked, "Princess, is it true that you've killed the second prince?" Princess Yen Ling said, "That's right. I killed him myself. I won't deny it." Lord Jing said, "That's it. Princess, please come with us." Princess Yen Ling shook her head. Lord Jing smirked. "Princess, aren't you supposed to be dauntless? Didn't you say you had the right to kill Prince Nightlight? What now? Are you afraid of telling his father what happened?" Infuriated, Princess Yen Ling smirked. "Fine. It's just a meeting with the Dongsang king, isn't it? Why should I be afraid? Because of what Nightlight did. I killed him to get rid of the evil for the Dongsang kingdom. Lead the way." Princess Yen Ling followed Lord Jing to the imperial palace. The Dongseng king looked down at Princess Yenling. Chapter 4032, Chapter 4032. What are you doing? 1. Chapter 4032. What are you doing? 1. Princess Yenling didn't back down either. The Dongseng king's face was livid. Princess Yenling wasn't in a good mood either. When she came here before, the Dongseng king had been very warm toward her and wouldn't let her just stand there. He would offer her a seat right away. A young eunuch would come up to her with a chair and let her sit on the side. But not this time. The Dongseng king let her stand there. That infuriated Princess Yenling. After exchanging a few cold looks, Princess Yenling spoke first. Your Majesty, are you here to ask about nightlight? Princess Yenling asked first, but her tone was still very arrogant. The Dongseng king said coldly, Tell me what happened. Feng Wu looked at them curiously. As a matter of fact, she had no idea what Princess Yenling saw in her. The princess had let Feng Wu go to court with her but left Shi Jian in the residence. This was the first time Feng Wu saw the Dongseng king with her own eyes. While he and Princess Yenling were at daggers drawn, Feng Wu stole a glance at the king. The king was younger than she had expected. Compared to Emperor Wu, Feng Wu realized that he was more capable, but he didn't have the domineering air of a ruler. It was as if he had been suppressed and compromised all the time. That wasn't what Feng Wu imagined of the Dongseng king. A country with a blood contract system should have an iron-blooded ruler, but after seeing the Dongseng king, Feng Wu knew that he wasn't tenacious enough because he had compromised too much. Feng Wu shook her head inwardly. Emperor Wu had to be living a much more comfortable life. While Feng Wu's mind was wandering off, Princess Yenling and the Dongseng king were confronting each other. Princess Yenling walked up the stairs and went up to the Dongseng king. No one in the Dongseng kingdom had ever dared to do such a thing. Master Min's face was livid, but Lord Jing smirked. If God wanted to destroy someone, he would make them insane first. With Princess Yenling's arrogance, something was bound to happen. Lord Jing was sure of it. Night Light deserved to die. Princess Yenling smirked. The Dongseng king's face darkened. Of course, I have proof, but why should I show it to you? Princess Yenling stared at the Dongseng king. All you need to know is that Night Light deserved to die. The Dongseng king was frustrated. That's all I have to say. Believe it or not. Princess Yenling turned to leave after that. Stop! The Dongseng king stared at Princess Yenling. Princess, please show us the evidence before you leave. Princess Yenling turned to look at the Dongseng king. She knew better than anyone else that the Dongseng king needed the support of the empire, which was why she dared to kill the second prince. Was the Dongseng king going to punish her now? Princess Yenling smirked. Your Majesty, are you going to turn against the empire now? Are you going to fight the Junwu Empire on your own? The Dongseng king's face was livid, but he fought back his anger. Proof? Princess Yenling asked, What if I don't give you any? The Dongseng king was so angry that he laughed. Princess Yenling smirked. So, will your Majesty make me pay with my own life? The Dongseng king didn't answer, but it was obvious what he meant. Chapter 4033, Chapter 4033. What are you doing? 2. Chapter 4033. What are you doing? 2. Princess Yenling laughed. Who the hell does he think he is? I can kill him if I want to, but do you think I'll pay with my own life? The Dongseng king still didn't say anything, but Feng Wu could see anger and frustration on his face. Feng Wu wondered if the Dongseng king would regret getting so involved with Dian. Seeing that the Dongseng king was on the verge of exploding and that Ma Quanquan was giving her a warning look, Princess Yenling smirked. Of course, the empire treats its allies well. The Dongseng kingdom is our ally, so I have to be reasonable. However, Princess Yen Ling would never show the spiritual fossil stone to the king. Night Light offended me, said Princess Yen Ling arrogantly. The Dongsang king fought back his rage. What did he do? Princess Yen Ling said. He was peeping at me while I was bathing. What do you think? The Dongsang king said. You don't have any proof. Princess Yen Ling glared at the Dongsang Klng impatiently. She had gone to so much trouble to make up the evidence, but the king still wouldn't believe her. Princess Yen Ling threw a dirty look at him. I've made myself very clear. There's no need for any more proof. Night Light is dead, and that's the best proof. If he didn't do anything, why would I kill him? That's my explanation. Princess Yen Ling turned to leave after that. By the way, Princess Yen Ling suddenly turned to look at the Dongsang king. The second batch of capable cultivators of Dian will be here soon, and they're much more powerful than the first batch. I'm sure your Majesty can guess how powerful they are. I don't think your Majesty wants us to defeat the Dongsang kingdom first, right? She marched off after that. The Dongsang king clenched his fists, and his face went stiff, but those who knew him well could tell that he was furious. Your Majesty, are we going to let her leave just like that? Lord Jing frowned at the Dongsang king. If she can kill the second prince so easily, what about the others? Did that mean she could kill anyone as she pleased? The Dongsang king had wanted to take Princess Yen Ling down, but she had threatened him with what she said in the end. 2 top spiritual saints arrived in the first bat. One was Ma Quan, and the other one went to visit other kingdoms of the continent and hadn't come back yet. The second batch was going to be much more capable. The Dongsang king took a deep breath, glanced at Lord Jing, and said coldly, You can leave now. Your Majesty, said Lord Jing. Are we going to let Princess Yen Ling do whatever she wants to us? Is there really no way to stop her? Everyone in Donglin City saw that she killed the second prince. She. The Dongsang king stopped him with a wave of his hand. Leave. Under the king's intimidating gaze, Lord Jing finally sighed and left. After the others were gone, the king sat down in the dragon chair. It was his dragon throne and the symbol of his prestige, but a king had just been humiliated by a girl. That was unacceptable. How was he supposed to live with that? Your Majesty is only thinking about the big picture, Master Min said indifferently. Chapter 40-34 Chapter 40-34 What are you doing? 3. Chapter 40-34 What are you doing? 3. The Dongsang king said dejectedly, Senior Brother Min, do you think I'm such a coward as well? Master Min said indifferently, Your Majesty is doing this for the greater good. The Dongsang king shook his head with a wry smile. After a while, he said quietly, Emperor Wu has never felt so aggrieved before, has he? Master Min didn't reply. The Dongsang king didn't seem to need his reply. He smiled bitterly and said, If the Dongsang kingdom hadn't become so involved with the Dian Empire, would we? Well, forget about it. I hope we can let it drop. The Dongsang king was furious over Night Light's death, but he could endure it when the throne was concerned. But the Dongsang king thought that he would let the matter drop, but what he didn't know was that a pair of invisible hands were stirring things up in Donglin City. It was Feng Wu. However, Feng Wu didn't expect that someone would see everything she did. It was Chu Tianxiao. Chu Tianxiao had noticed Feng Wu because he was living in seclusion in a straw hut. A blurry figure had appeared on the white jade wall in front of his dwelling. Chu Tianxiao was so shocked that his hand trembled. He was the most capable swordsman in the world, and of course, he wouldn't lose his balance. What he saw on the jade wall was the only reason he lost his composure. Chu Tianxiao had been looking for someone, and that was what his master told him to do before he went missing. His junior sister. He didn't know which family his junior sister was born into, but if she was close enough, he would be able to find some clues on the jade wall. As expected, A blurry figure appeared on the wall. That tall man was her junior sister? That was so. However, it was still a lead. Chu Tianxiao was about to start searching when the silhouette on the wall changed again. This time, it was the outline of a teenage girl. Judging by her body shape, she was nowhere near as stunning as his junior sister back then, but it was still a lead. Chu Tianxiao could see what the girl did every day. Yes, he could see it through the jade wall. However, he couldn't move a muscle after he saw the image. I'm semi-paralyzed. That's a sign that I'm possessed, Chu Tianxiao said solemnly. He couldn't leave the valley, so he could only sit there and watch the girl on the wall. The image would change like a camera changing angle. When the girl was alone, he could see things from her point of view. When the girl was with other people, he would see an overview. What Chu Tianxiao saw was that after Feng Wu turned herself into a guard, she snuck into the Jin Manor, faked Jing Wei's death, and then tricked Princess Yan Ling. She then snuck up on Princess Yan Ling. Chu Tianxiao watched as Feng Wu, a level 3 spiritual saint, made her way through Donglin City, which was filled with capable cultivators. She was able to throw the Dongsang kingdom into chaos. This girl is so, Chu Tianxiao was speechless. Is she trying to set the Dongsang kingdom up? At the thought of all the capable cultivators in Donglin City, Chu Tianxiao couldn't help but worry. He had forgotten that he was the master teacher of the Dongsang kingdom. For the next few days. Chapter 4035 Chapter 4035 It wasn't night light. Chapter 4035 It wasn't night light. In the next few days, Chu Tianxiao was going to see something amazing. Of course, that hadn't happened yet. Feng Wu followed Princess Yan Ling the whole time. For some unknown reason, Princess Yan Ling had been treating Feng Wu much better recently. Instead, she had neglected Shi Jian, who used to be her maid. Hence, Feng Wu could now see how things were going with her directing. She realized that things had slowed down a little. After Princess Yan Ling killed Night Light and flaunted her power in front of the Dongsang King, she was taken away by Ma Quanquan. Feng Wu didn't know exactly what Ma Quanquan had taught her, but judging from how dispirited Princess Yan Ling was, she suppressed her arrogance. She didn't even mention Night Light anymore. Feng Wu thought to herself, that won't do. She had come up with a series of traps. What was the point of sticking here? The death of Night Light wouldn't affect the Dongsang King at all, let alone the entire Dongsang Kingdom. She had to keep it going until she got Lord Jing, Night Owl, and the Dongsang Kingdom involved. In the end, she might even get her third senior brother involved. That way, she wouldn't have to look for her third senior brother, and could just meet him. At that thought, Feng Wu stole a glance at Princess Yan Ling. Right now, Princess Yan Ling was reclining on a chaise lounge with a look of distaste on her face and a malicious look in her eyes every now and then. Seeing that Feng Wu had come back with some refreshments, Princess Yan Ling glanced at Feng Wu and said coldly, "Come here." Feng Wu carefully walked up to her. Staring at Feng Wu, Princess Yan Ling snorted. "Do you know why I wanted to kill Night Light?" Feng Wu shook her head. Princess Yan Ling then asked Shi Jian, "Do you know?" Shi Jian was about to answer when Princess Yan Ling said indifferently, "Shi Jian, you were on duty outside that day. Tell me in detail. What happened 3 nights ago?" Shi Jian dropped to his knees and looked flustered. Seeing how flustered she was, Princess Yan Ling frowned. "So you know?" Shi Jian shook her head. "I don't know. I really don't." Princess Yan Ling said coldly, "Since you know what happened that night, tell me the details. Don't worry. Not only won't I kill you, I'll also reward you." Shi Jian shook her head. Princess Yan Ling suddenly smiled. "Haven't you been trying to serve my brother? He's been asking for you as well. Don't worry. If you help me this time, I'll take you to him. How does that sound?" Shi Jian was elated. She almost asked, "Princess, is that true?" Luckily, she was able to control herself. However, she couldn't hide her joy. Therefore, Feng Wu noticed the contemptuous look on Princess Yanling's face. However, Shi Jian didn't see it because she had lowered her head. Shi Jian was about to speak when Feng Wu spoke first. Princess, I have a stomachache and really need to. Princess Yanling glanced at her and said indifferently, All right, go. Feng Wu left in a hurry. Princess Yanling looked at the Shi Jian and said indifferently, Good. We're alone now. If you have anything to say, just say it. If you say the wrong thing, I promise you that you won't be punished. Shi Jian looked at Princess Yanling in pleasant surprise. Princess, are you sure? Princess Yanling said coldly, Of course I am. Have I ever gone back on my words? Plus, my brother likes you so much. Why should I hurt you? You'll have to work for me after you become his concubine. Shi Jian liked the sound of that. After some thought, she said to Princess Yanling, Yuexin was on duty in the inner room that day, and I was on duty in the outer room. Princess Yanling nodded. She had asked Shi Jian before, but the girl wouldn't say anything and only said that she didn't know. Now that Yanling had promised to give Shi Jian to her brother, Shi Jian could finally tell the truth. Shi Jian searched her memory. I didn't know what happened in the room, but I saw a figure come back with a sack. A ferocious look flickered in Princess Yanling's eyes. Apart from herself, who else could it be? Princess Yanling stared at Shi Jian. Then? Shi Jian said in a trembling voice, Then? I didn't think much of it. I only thought that the person who came back with the sack looked familiar, but I was scared, so I didn't tell anyone. Princess Yanling gritted her teeth. Why didn't you tell anyone? Shi Jian said, If that person went out with a sack over his shoulder, I wouldn't have kept my silence, but that person came in with something over his shoulder. So I thought that since it wasn't stealing, I might as well keep it to myself. But the next day, Sister Yuexin, Shi Jian took a deep breath. I was so scared that I didn't dare to say a word. So, I lied to you when you asked me the first time. Princess Yanling was secretly frustrated. However, in order to force more truth out of Shi Jian, Princess Yanling fought back her rage and stared at the latter. Didn't you say that the man with the sack looked familiar? Who was he? That person was the key. Princess Yanling thought to herself, that person should be on Nightlight's side. If that was the case, she would be able to charge Nightlight with kidnapping. That way, the Dongsang King wouldn't have anything to say. At that thought, the listless Princess Yanling immediately cheered up. Although I still don't know who he is, I'm good at drawing. I can draw a portrait of him. Princess Yanling said, Do it. She had to have some talent to work for Princess Yanling. In less than 5 minutes, Shi Jian had drawn the painting and presented it to Princess Yanling. Princess Yanling narrowed her eyes when she saw the painting. That man. Even she found him familiar, let alone the Shi Jian. However, she couldn't remember who it was. Who was he? Where had she met him before? Crossing her hands behind her back, Princess Yanling frowned and walked back and forth into the room. Princess Yanling's eyes suddenly lit up. She had indeed met him in Night Owl's manor. It was him. Princess Yanling immediately locked onto a person. He's a guard of the Jing manor. Lord Jing has been taking around. Princess Yanling gritted her teeth and stared at the Shi Jian. Are you sure he's the one who brought me back? Shi Jian said in tears, Princess, I'm telling the truth. I'm telling the truth. Princess Yanling frowned. It's dark and windy, and everyone has to cover their faces when they commit crimes. Why would someone show their face? Shi Jian said, Princess, the person indeed had a black scarf over his face, but Master Ma arrived in time, and that man panicked. When he jumped over a tree branch, he accidentally lifted the scarf, so I saw his face. What a coincidence! Princess Yanling frowned. Seeing that Princess Yanling was suspicious, Shi Jian burst into tears. Princess, I'm telling the truth. Princess Yenling was neither angry nor anxious. She only said indifferently, I hope that's the case as well. If you can prove that you're telling the truth, I'll reward you. Shurjin said, I still remember Witch Tree. Shall I show you there? Maybe I can detect something on that branch. Princess Yenling said, Lead the way. Soon, Shurjin led Princess Yenling to an old tree that was so thick that 10 people could wrap their arms around it. Princess, it's this tree, Shurjin said matter-of-factly. Princess Yenling examined the tree carefully. At first, she couldn't find anything, but soon, she spotted a footprint. It was a man's footprint. Wait a minute. Chapter 4036, Chapter 4036, Guilty Conscience. Chapter 4036, Guilty Conscience. Princess Yenling saw a piece of black cloth hanging on a branch. It was obvious from the man's clothes. She picked it up and sniffed it. Other people wouldn't be able to smell it, but Princess Yenling had a very sharp nose. Just like what Mr. Sakia said, she had a sharper nose than anyone else. It was him. Princess Yenling's pupils contracted, and she was furious. Lord Jing's guards had kidnapped her, while Grandpa Ma was away on some errand. The more Princess Yenling thought about it, the more likely it seemed. Who was Princess Yenling? She was the fiend that would kill the second prince, Night Light, and all his servants in a fit of rage. Of course, she wouldn't let anyone lie to her, set her up, or use her. To the Jing Manor. Princess Yenling jumped onto her horse first and headed for the Jing Manor. As Princess Yenling's favorite minion at the moment, Feng Wu had to follow her everywhere. Hence, she jumped onto her horse and went along to watch the show as well. As the horses galloped along, Princess Yenling's train of thought became clearer and clearer. It had to be Lord Jing. She had only threatened him, but he had done such a thing to her. Not only had he humiliated her, but he had also used her to destroy Night Light. Night Light was Night Owl's archenemy. Lord Jing. The more Princess Yenling thought about it, the angrier she became. She cracked her whip. Soon, Princess Yenling arrived at Lord Jing's residence with a group of people. She didn't stop at the door. Instead, she ran straight into the manor. The concierge had met Princess Yenling before and recognized her right away. He shot warning glances at the others, telling them to report to the Lord as soon as possible. He then said to Princess Yenling, Princess, the horses can't gallop into the manor. Please get off. However, Princess Yenling was too angry to care about anything else. She raised her whip. Poor man. He only said one sentence before he was whipped up and sent flying into the air. Other people would be injured at most. They were right outside the main gate, and the crowd was so dense that everyone would notice it. The people on the street were shocked, and the news soon spread out. Princess Yenling used to be so arrogant that she didn't care about the consequences at all. She rushed into the manor. She would run into anyone she met. If anyone tried to stop her, she would whip them. All hell broke loose in the Jing Manor, and people kept calling for help. Lady Jing and her son received the news as well and were on their way. As for Lord Jing, he wasn't home. To be more precise, Lord Jing had arrived at Night Owl's residence through the secret passageway and was drinking with Night Owl. Lord Jing said, Princess Yenling is such a fool. She actually helped us kill your brother. Night Owl gloated as well. That's right. She was quite rough. Lord Jing added, Now that we have something on her, we don't have to worry about her. Night Owl said, But she knows our secret. After all, it's a threat. Who knows when she'll lose her mind? If she tells other people about it, we'll. Lord Jing said confidently, She has killed the second prince. What else can she do? Don't worry. She won't. They were still talking excitedly about the second prince's death when Gong Ming, Night Owl's personal guard, came in. Your Royal Highness, something's wrong. Night Owl frowned. What is it? Gong Ming said, Princess Yen Ling has broken into the Jing Manor like a crazy person and is killing innocent people. What? Lord Jing dropped his wine glass. He had just said that Princess Yen Ling wouldn't lose her mind, but why is she out of control again? Lord Jing's face was livid. Let's go have a look. Night Owl urged Lord Jing. Lord Jing told Night Owl, go ask His Majesty for help. That crazy woman has Ma Quan Quan with her. We'll be at a disadvantage if we fight her. Go get Master Min. Yes. Night Owl jumped onto his horse and rode toward the Imperial Palace. Meanwhile, Lord Jing went into the secret tunnel and soon returned to the Jing Manor. Someone was banging on the door when he walked into the study. My lord! My lord! It was Jing Jia, his guard. Lord Jing opened the door as if he had just finished cultivating. Jing Jia said anxiously, My lord, Princess Yen Ling has lost her mind. She's been asking for you, but you haven't shown up, so she said that she would kill a person every 3 minutes, starting from Lady Jing and the young prince. Lord Jing blanched. Where is she? Jing Jia immediately took Lord Jing there. When he arrived at the main hall, he saw Princess Yen Ling holding a dagger and gesturing at the young prince's neck. The younger prince rolled his eyes and almost fainted. Princess Yen Ling sneered at the chubby little boy. After you die, even if you turn into a ghost, you can't blame me. Your father is to be blamed. His voice was hoarse from all the crying, and he couldn't make a sound. All he could do was tremble, and his eyes were filled with fear. Die! Princess Yen Ling was about to stab the young prince in the throat. No! Lady Jing tried to rush over, but Princess Yen Ling kicked her away. Stop! Entering the room, Lord Jing glared at Princess Yen Ling and bellowed, What's wrong with you? Stop it! It was a mess. Members of the Jing Manor were scattered all over the ground. Many of them were barely breathing and were almost dead. Seeing this, Lord Jing wanted to cut Princess Yen Ling into 1,000 pieces. Princess Yen Ling turned around and smirked when she saw Lord Jing. Why, I thought you wouldn't come out. I didn't expect to see you here. After that, she threw the scared prince on the ground. Ignoring the pain, the boy hid behind his father. He stared at Princess Yen Ling with a venomous look in his eyes. Princess Yen Ling couldn't care less what the brat thought. She only stared at Lord Jing and said, Since the master is here, you people can leave now. After throwing the Jing Manor into chaos, Princess Yen Ling had calmed down a little. However, once she calmed down, she would be the most difficult to handle. Lord Jing didn't want his secret to get out, so he waved at them. You guys can leave now. Lady Jing couldn't wait to see that happen, so she led the young prince and his servants out of the room. Feng Wu didn't dare linger in such a dangerous place, so she followed the crowd out. Soon, Princess Yen Ling and Lord Jing were the only ones left in the main hall. Lord Jing stared at Princess Yen Ling and asked coldly, Princess Yen Ling, what's this about? Princess Yen Ling sneered at him. What's it about? Can't you tell? Lord Jing said angrily, I saw Princess Yen Ling charge into the manor and beat up many people. As for why, I have no idea. I'll need an explanation from you, Princess Yen Ling, or I'm afraid it won't be settled. Ha 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 ha! Princess Yen Ling guffawed. It won't be settled? Ah, I'm sorry, but do you think I'm going to let you do whatever you want? Princess, what did you say? Lord Jing stared at her. How many people have you killed? Princess Yen Ling smirked. Tell me then, why did I kill them? Lord Jing gritted his teeth. Princess, why did you want to kill them? Chapter 4037 Chapter 4037 I know everything. Chapter 4037 I know everything. Princess Yen Ling asked, Don't you know? Lord Jing asked, Why should I? Princess Yen Ling sneered at Lord Jing. There was anger, mockery, and utter contempt in her eyes. Under Princess Yen Ling's intimidating gaze, Lord Jing felt a little guilty. However, when he looked up and saw Princess Yen Ling's undisguised contempt, he flared up. I really can't remember when I offended you to make you take revenge like this. In that case, how about we go to His Majesty and reason with him? Princess Yen Ling had just destroyed the second prince's residence the day before. Was she really going to destroy the Jing manor now? Even if she wanted to do that, Ma Quan would stop her. He thought that Princess Yen Ling would be stopped by that, but as soon as he said those words, Princess Yen Ling smirked. Princess Yen Ling said, Lord Jing, I see that I've been too polite to you. How dare you be so arrogant in front of me? You're inverting justice. Lord Jing frowned. Princess Yen Ling smirked. If you want to talk to His Majesty so badly, I'll go with you. Let's go. She then turned to leave. That righteous tone frightened Lord Jing. He didn't move. Princess Yen Ling turned around and gave him a taunting look. What, Lord Jing, are you afraid to go? Lord Jing gritted his teeth. Why should I? I'm leaving. Princess Yen Ling smirked. Why not? I'd like to know why. How dare you do such a thing to me? Fine. Fine. The look made Lord Jing uneasy. Princess, I have no idea what you're talking about. Instead of following his lead, Princess Yen Ling asked, Don't you have a guard? What's his name? Jing Wei? Those words scared the wits out of Lord Jing. How did Princess Yen Ling know about Jing Wei? Lord Jing forced himself to calm down and said indifferently, I do. Princess, what do you want? Princess Yen Ling gritted her teeth. Bring him here. Lord Jing shook his head. I don't think that'll work. Princess Yen Ling stared at Lord Jing and asked aggressively, Why not? Lord Jing smiled in pity. Princess, that guard. Well, he had an accident during his cultivation and died because of his cultivation deviation. Princess Yen Ling stared at Lord Jing with a livid face. Lord Jing only smiled innocently, as if he felt sorry for Jing Wei. He even asked, Princess, did this guard offend you? Sigh. Ever since his cultivation went berserk, he was delirious and couldn't control his behavior. If he does anything to offend you, please forgive him for the sake of his death. Princess Yen Ling was so frustrated. Lord Jing's attitude infuriated Princess Yen Ling even more. She stared at Lord Jing. Did you kill him to silence him? Lord Jing's stomach lurched. From what Princess Yen Ling said, Lord Jing was certain that she knew what had happened. Lord Jing's mind went blank. How did Princess Yen Ling know about this? How much did she know? What evidence did she have? However, Lord Jing was as experienced as he was said to be. He calmed down almost right away and his face went hack-tian normal. Lord Jing looked calmly at Princess Yen Ling and even smiled a little. Lord Jing asked, Princess, are you making things up? Princess Yen Ling gritted her teeth. You're so scheming. Not only did you kill him to silence him, but you've also made it impossible for me to find any evidence. Even if I find the evidence, you can still insist that the guard did it and that you had nothing to do with it. You made sure it would never be traced back to you. If I insist on getting to the bottom of it, there'll be no witness, and the dead have to be respected. I can't say for sure. In the end, I'm going to be accused of being arrogant and despotic. Lord Jing, you're so cunning. In a few words, Princess Yen Ling had figured out Lord Jing's plan. Lord Jing wasn't offended by the fact that Feng Wu had seen through his plan. He only pretended to be innocent. I really don't know what you're talking about. Please leave. Don't make a scene. I'll pretend it never happened. Princess, what happened in the second prince's residence yesterday has already blown up. His Majesty is having a headache over it. Everyone has a temper, and so does a kingdom. Princess, you're so aggressive. I don't think it's the attitude of the Dian Empire. Once His Majesty is really angry, He'll send a letter to the Empire. I don't think it'll do you any good. Princess, please respect yourself. The Dongsang king indeed had a way to deliver the news to Dian, which was left behind by the emissary in case of emergencies. Princess Yenling smirked. As expected of the father of the crown prince. Impressive. She headed for the door after that. The mention of the secret made the usually calm Lord Jing panic a little. Where are you going? He grabbed Princess Yenling's sleeve. Princess Yenling said, Go to court. Those words were so lethal to Lord Jing that he glared at Princess Yenling. Why do you want to go to court? Princess Yenling turned around and gave him a taunting look. Since Lord Jing insists on being innocent, I'll tell His Majesty a story from 18 years ago. Lord Jing panicked a little. He smiled obsequiously at Princess Yenling. There's nothing to tell. Princess, please take a seat. Let's talk. Princess Yenling sneered at Lord Jing. If that's the case, Lord Jing, please hand it over. What is it? Lord Jing asked innocently. Princess Yenling narrowed her eyes. She had been defeated by Lord Jing once, and she wouldn't let it happen again. Princess Yenling asked, Lord Jing, you have the wrong attitude. Lord Jing smiled bitterly. I really... Princess Yenling rose to her feet. Lord Jing grabbed her sleeve. It's just that Prince Nightlight has indeed sent me an object. Of course, he wouldn't let Princess Yenling do whatever she wanted, so he began to take the initiative. Princess Yenling turned around and stared at him with cold eyes. He took out a spiritual fossil stone and handed it to her. Chapter 4038 Chapter 4038 She's going to tell. Chapter 4038 She's going to tell. This spiritual fossil stone. Princess Yenling's face darkened. She was so familiar with this stone. She had taken a spiritual fossil stone from the second prince, and what did he say? He would put it in his sleeve and play with it every now and then. That idea disgusted Princess Yenling. However, she still hoped that the record wasn't what she had expected. However, when Princess Yenling activated the spiritual fossil stone, one look and she knew what had happened. Damn it! Princess Yenling slapped Lord Jing. However, Lord Jing was much more powerful than her and had a much better defense. As a result, Princess Yenling's hands turned red from the impact, but Lord Jing remained unscathed. You're shameless! Princess Yenling bellowed. Lord Jing smirked. Would you believe me if I told you that Prince Nightlight sent me the spiritual fossil stone? Princess Yenling smirked. I know perfectly well that your guard took me away when Grandpa Ma wasn't around. You set Nightlight up, didn't you? Of course, Lord Jing wouldn't admit it. He smiled and said, Princess, I'm afraid you think too highly of me. Princess Yenling said, I don't care if you did it or not. I'm going to tell the Dongsang King about you and Night Owl. You're all going to die. Lord Jing said, Princess, wait. But Princess Yenling didn't stop. She was determined to leave. Behind her, she heard Lord Jing's taunting voice. Princess, do you think that there's only one such spiritual fossil stone in the world? Holding the spiritual fossil stone, Princess Yenling stared at Lord Jing. What did you say? Lord Jing chuckled. Princess, you brought us 10 spiritual fossil stones. His Majesty has 3, and the remaining 7. Princess Yenling said, You're shameless. Lord Jing chuckled. If I don't keep some cards up my sleeves, I'll have to do whatever you say. Am I right, Princess? Princess Yenling stared at Lord Jing. You kidnapped me, dragged Nightlight into this, and tricked me into killing him. Now that you have my spiritual fossil stone, aren't you afraid that I'll ask Grandpa Ma to kill you? Lord Jing smiled again, but the smile didn't reach his eyes, and there was a threatening look in his eyes. Princess, if you don't mind these spiritual fossil stones being watched by all the people of Donglin City. Princess Yenling was furious. You! Lord Jing smiled at her. Now that things have come to this, Princess Yenling, please don't be mad at me. It's so boring. Why don't we sit down and talk it over? Princess Yenling asked, How do you want to do that? Lord Jing smiled and said, It's very simple. Now that you have something on me, and I have something on you, why don't we pretend that nothing happened and keep it to ourselves? Princess Yenling said, In your dreams. Lord Jing said, If that's the case, you can go to His Majesty and make a scene, while I'll show the entire city what's recorded in the stone. Princess Yenling glared at him. Go to hell. Lord Jing shrugged. What do you think, then? Princess Yenling jumped to her feet and glared at Lord Jing. Remember this. I'll never let you off the hook. Never. After saying those words, Princess Yenling cracked her whip and left. Naturally, Feng Wu left with Princess Yenling. Is she really not going to tell anyone? Night Owl stood behind Lord Jing and looked worried. Lord Jing said, Not for now, but she will one day. Night Owl narrowed his eyes. When will that happen? Lord Jing said, After the second batch of reinforcements arrives from Dian. Right now, Princess Yenling had a peak spiritual saint with her, and the other one was roaming the continent, looking for something. She didn't have enough manpower, so she had to live with it. However, when the second wave of reinforcements arrived, things would become much more complicated. What should I do now? Night Owl asked anxiously. Lord Jing made a throat-slitting gesture. Night Owl stared at Lord Jing. He didn't expect the latter to be so relentless. Night Owl had killed quite a few people over the years, but Princess Yenling was backed by Lord Yen and the Dian Empire. The consequence was very severe. We have to get rid of her once and for all. Lord Jing stared at Night Owl. She can expose your secret at any moment. I've talked to her. I know she doesn't care about anything when she loses control. Although I've temporarily restrained her with the spiritual fossil stone, she's too arrogant and willful. After what she has gone through, she has to take her revenge. What will the king do if she tells other people? We'll both die. Princess Yenling has to die, and so does the king. How do we kill the king and Princess Yenling without incriminating ourselves? It's easy. Lord Jing smirked. That's to make the king Princess Yenling's murderer. But my father won't kill Princess Yenling, Night Owl said with a frown. Lord Jing nodded. That's true, but we have to make him the scapegoat. Night Owl stared at him. Do you have a plan? Lord Jing nodded. The plan is taking shape, and we still need to perfect the details. So, let her live a little longer. What they didn't know was that a little bird had heard their conversation again. It was none other than Little Phoenix. When Little Phoenix sent the message to Feng Wu couldn't help but give Lord Jing a thumbs up. What a capable man. He was even trying to frame the Dongsang king. But she was looking forward to it. As long as the Dongsang kingdom was in disarray, they wouldn't have the energy to bother the Junwu Empire. This would be the best time for the empire to improve its capability. Feng Wu didn't do it for nothing. Apart from working on important figures like Lord Jing, Princess Yenling, Night Owl, and Nightlight, she was also in charge of moving the supplies. Such as Nightlight's stuff. Nightlight's manor had been destroyed by a fire, and Feng Wu was the one who had taken all the treasures. The Dongsang kingdom was rich in resources, and with the support of the Dian Empire, the second prince had a lot of good stuff in his residence. Feng Wu put them all in her ring and waited to take them back to the Junwu Empire. Chapter 4039 Chapter 4039 Step by Step. Chapter 4039 Step by Step. Not only did Feng Wu take all the wealth of Nightlight, but she also took a lot of the treasures of the Jing Manor. Feng Wu had made up her mind that after Lord Jing and Night Owl fell, all their things would be hers. As for the research and development departments of the Dongsang kingdom, Feng Wu would sneak in whenever she found a chance. She took stuff when no one was looking and left a bloody handprint behind. So far, the Dongsang Kingdom was still investigating the handprint, and no one knew that Feng Wu had done it. Sometimes when Feng Wu was too busy, she would let Little Phoenix do it. What was better about Little Phoenix was that it had an invisibility skill, which enabled it to succeed every single time. Moreover, it was out of reach, and the incidents had been reported to the Dongsang King, who had handed it over to Night Owl, the Crown Prince. Night Owl was too busy trying to kill Yanling to keep his secret and to kill the Dongsang King to take the throne. He couldn't care less about such petty things. Therefore, the incident was put on hold for the time being. Feng Wu followed Princess Yanling back home. Princess Yanling was so angry that she wanted to hit someone. Seeing the look on Princess Yanling's face, Feng Wu immediately told her that she wasn't feeling well and needed to go to the toilet. Hence, she pushed Shi Jian toward Yanling. Shi Jian was indeed arrogant in front of Feng Wu, but she didn't dare to utter a word in front of Princess Yanling and had to go in to serve her. But Princess Yanling was still angry, so she whipped Shi Jian until she was covered in blood. "Get her out of here!" Princess Yanling bellowed. Our Elvo people quickly came in and carried Shi Jian out. "Xing Xiang, come in!" Princess Yanling bellowed. Feng Wu had no choice but to walk in slowly. Holding her whip, Princess Yanling stared at Feng Wu with a brooding look in her eyes, as if she was going to explode at any moment. Feng Wu spoke first before Princess Yanling lost her temper. "Princess, did the Dongsang Kingdom pick on you? I don't think there's a good person in the Dongsang Kingdom." Princess Yanling hated the Dongsang Kingdom at the moment, but she couldn't tell her maid that she had been recorded, which was why she was so flustered. Now that Feng Wu was complaining about the Dongsang Kingdom, she liked Feng Wu a lot more. Feng Wu was very good at reading faces. She saw Princess Yanling seemed a little relaxed, so she said, "Night Light offended you first, and then Lord Jing offended you. Doesn't that mean that there's still the Crown Prince and the others? How are we supposed to stay in the Dongsang Kingdom?" Princess Yanling stared at Feng Wu. "You're not a member of the Dian Empire. You're from the Dongsang Kingdom. How can you speak up for me? You're betraying the Dongsang Kingdom." Feng Wu said in a hurry, "From the moment His Majesty gave this manor to you, I'm yours. Since you're a member of the Dian Empire, so am I. I'm loyal to you." Princess Yanling asked, "How can I trust you?" Feng Wu said, "Princess, I'll do anything for you." Princess Yanling smirked. "What if I give you to 10 strong men?" "Damn it!" Feng Wu cursed inwardly, but she only smiled bitterly. "I'm sure you won't do that, Princess, because you're the kindest person and you care about your servants the most." Feng Wu was very good at singing praises. Hearing Feng Wu's compliment, Princess Yanling forgot about her evil plan. She stared at Feng Wu and asked, "What do you think I should do now?" Feng Wu hesitated and didn't say anything. Princess Yanling glanced at Feng Wu and snorted. "You followed me to the second prince's manor and then to the Jing manor. Of course, you know what happened to me." Feng Wu looked panicked. "Princess, please forgive me." Princess Yanling glanced at Feng Wu. "If you can come up with something nice, not only will I forgive you, but I'll also reward you. But if you can't, I'm going to kill you too. Speak." As she spoke, Princess Yanling exerted her formidable energy. Feng Wu said, "Actually, I do have an idea. Princess, you can go to His Royal Highness." "Night Owl? Why do I need him?" Feng Wu had a plan. Princess Yanling might seem to be forcing her, but in fact, Feng Wu had everything under control. Feng Wu's acting was so amazing that Princess Yanling thought that she was the winner. Feng Wu said quietly, "Lord Jing and Night Owl are working together against you. Princess, haven't you thought about splitting them up? Or even killing him with a borrowed knife?" As smart as Princess Yanling was, she immediately said, "Are you saying that we should separate Night Owl from Lord Jing and use Night Owl to kill Lord Jing?" Feng Wu nodded. That's right. Night Owl and Lord Jing have always been good friends. If Lord Jing finds out that Night Owl did it, he'll be the most upset. Princess Yen Ling thought to herself, it'll be worse than death because Lord Jing is Night Owl's father. That'll be great news. The thought of Night Owl killing Lord Jing excited Princess Yen Ling. She stared at Feng Wu in excitement. Princess Yen Ling said, "It's just that Lord Jing and Night Owl are closer than you can imagine. They're as close as father and son. How can they turn against each other?" Feng Wu chuckled. "They didn't fall out because you haven't tempted them enough. With enough temptation, of course, they'll fall out." Princess Yen Ling said, "They're father and son. They both know that." Feng Wu seemed frightened by the news. Princess Yen Ling sneered at Feng Wu. "Now you know that they won't turn against each other." Feng Wu acted as if she had digested the information and shook her head at Princess Yen Ling. "But why are they so sure that they're father and son? Even if that's the case, what if they aren't? Even if they are, we can still make up the evidence to say otherwise. Can't we accuse Lord Jing of falsifying the evidence so that the Crown Prince would believe that they're father and son? That way, wouldn't the Crown Prince hate Lord Jing? Wouldn't they turn against each other?" Princess Yen Ling gave Feng Wu an indescribable look. Feng Wu said, "Princess." Princess Yen Ling suddenly reached out, patted Feng Wu on the shoulder, and smiled. "You're really my lucky star. That's a great angle. I need to study it. Night Owl's mother is the current queen." Chapter 40 Chapter 40 Dark, Windy Night. Chapter 40 Dark, Windy Night. I can make an issue of something from the Queen, and Lord Jing won't be able to escape. I can then tell Night Owl that I'm the one who can work with him, and I can even marry him. To defeat Lord Jing, Princess Yen Ling had worked very hard. There was no time to waste. Since they were going to drive a wedge between Lord Jing and Night Owl, they had to start right away. Feng Wu didn't know what Princess Yen Ling did, but she knew that Yen Ling had gone to negotiate with Night Owl, and Little Phoenix, who was hiding in Night Owl's residence, told Feng Wu everything. That was right. Little Phoenix had been staying in Night Owl's manor these days, for Lord Jing would visit every now and then. The two of them hid in a secret room and talked among themselves, trying to come up with a plan to deal with Princess Yen Ling. After the Dongsang King learned what had happened in the Jing manor, he summoned Lord Jing. Seeing Lord Jing, the Dongsang King asked with a frown, "Why is Princess Yen Ling attacking you again? What's going on? Did you offend her?" Of course, Lord Jing wouldn't admit his crime. He looked like he had been wronged. "Your Majesty, please help me." The Dongsang King had a headache. He loved it when the people of the Dongsang Kingdom didn't have any conflict with Princess Yen Ling, the Dian Empire's ambassador, so that she could stay safe and sound until the second batch of reinforcements arrived. As it turned out, the Jing manor was in trouble again in such a short time. "What's going on?" The Dongsang King stared at Lord Jing. Tears welled up in Lord Jing's eyes, and he was sobbing. He looked so aggrieved. "Your Majesty, it has something to do with Nightlight." Princess Yen Ling didn't like Nightlight, to begin with, so she made up a random accusation, saying that he peeped when Princess Yen Ling was bathing, and she killed Nightlight because of it. Lord Jing stole a glance at the Dongsang King. As expected, the Emperor's face was livid. And then, Dongsang King's face darkened. Lord Jing wiped his tears and said, "Then, Princess Yen Ling showed up out of nowhere," she said. Dongsang King asked angrily, "What did she say?" Lord Jing looked terrified. She said that your Majesty was too disobedient." "How dare she?" Before Lord Jing could finish, the eunuch next to the Dongsang King bellowed. "How dare she say that His Majesty was disobedient? That was so offensive." Lord Jing prostrated on the ground and said loudly, "That was what I told her, but she said that the Dongsang Kingdom was only a parasitic seed of the Dian Empire. His Majesty was disobedient, and she was displeased on behalf of the Empire. Lord Jing looked like he wanted to say something but hesitated. He noticed that the Dongsang King's face was livid, as if he was going to explode at any moment. Keep talking. The Dongsang King pointed at Lord Jing. Tell me everything, she said. Yes. Lord Jing said. She said your Majesty was too disobedient and opinionated. You're not the ruler of the Dongsang Kingdom that the Dian Empire want. So, the Dongsang King drew in his breath. He glared at Lord Jing. His eyes were as sharp as blades. He wanted to cut Lord Jing open. Lord Jing didn't try to dodge the Dongsang King's glare. He knew that if he tried to dodge now, it would mean that he had a guilty conscience, and the Dongsang King would be suspicious. He and Night Owl had carefully thought through many details. They were sure that they could win this battle. As expected, the Dongsang King believed Lord Jing when he saw that he wasn't looking away. But deep down, he was in so much pain. He had given in to Princess Yanling. He had even tolerated the fact that his own son had been killed. But Princess Yanling was still accusing him of being disobedient. The Dongsang King didn't believe Lord Jing right away and said angrily, "One more lie and I'll cut you into little pieces." Lord Jing kowtowed and said, "Your Majesty, of course, I'm telling the truth. I'm telling the truth. If not, your Majesty can take the head of my entire family." Hearing that, the Dongsang King slumped back in his chair, and his face was filled with anger, disappointment, and frustration. "Your Majesty, Princess Yanling is going to replace you." Seeing this, Lord Jing tried to appease the Dongsang King. "If she has come to me, she must have gone to someone else. She's going to replace you now. Your Majesty, you have to reconsider." The Dongsang King was so frustrated that he threw a dirty look at Lord Jing. "I'll talk to Princess Yanling myself. If you're not telling the truth, I won't forgive you. If you are, I won't mistreat you either. You can leave now." Lord Jing grew up with the Dongsang King, and he was the only royal lord with a different surname. That was to say, the Dongsang King was very kind to him. However, the Dongsang King was so frustrated that he needed to think straight. Lord Jing knew that he had laid the groundwork, and it was Night Owl's turn now. "Hence," he said, "Your Majesty, you've given me all the glory and wealth I've enjoyed over the years. Even if everyone is against you, Ziki will still be on your side." Ziki was the name of Lord Jing. Only then did Lord Jing leave the room. As soon as Lord Jing left, the Dongsang King turned to his most trusted eunuch. "Dabong, do you think Lord Jing can be trusted?" Lu Dabong, the head eunuch, had been with the Dongsang King since he was little, so the Dongsang King trusted him. Lu Dabong said, "I think there's some truth in Lord Jing's words, but it may not be the whole truth. But I'm sure that he wants Princess Yanling dead." The Dongsang King asked, "Really?" Lu Dabong said, "Princess Yanling charged into the Jing Manor. If Lord Jing hadn't intervened in time, the Jing Manor would probably end up like Prince Nightlight's manor." The Dongsang King smacked the table. "How dare she?" Lu said solemnly, "Your Majesty, have you noticed the marks on Lord Jing's face? Princess Yanling must have done it." Poor Princess Yanling. She had whipped quite a few people but never hit Lord Jing in the face. This time, it was all Lord Jing's doing. Lu Dabong said, "Princess Yanling is too presumptuous. She has no respect for the Dongsang Kingdom." Chapter 40-41 Chapter 40-41 Night of the Murder. Chapter 40-41 Night of the Murder. Lu Dabong said, "If she treats your Majesty that way, she can do whatever she wants to everyone else in the kingdom. To Princess Yanling, maybe Lord Jing is worse than a dog." Damn it! Damn it! Recalling how disrespectful Princess Yanling had been to him, the Dongsang King was furious. Lu said, so, it's true that Lord Jing hates Princess Yenling. As for what Princess Yenling said about you being disobedient, I'm afraid we'll have to look into it. Dongsang King nodded. He wasn't the type to trust Lord Jing unconditionally. Summon the Crown Prince. The Dongsang King smirked. According to what Lord Jing said, Princess Yenling failed to conspire with him and was angry. However, she has the perfect potential partner. Of course, she would go to him. It was Night Owl, the Crown Prince. Since she wanted to replace the king, Night Owl would be the first partner Princess Yenling would work with. Lu nodded with a smile. Your Majesty, you're so wise. The Dongsang King waved his hand, still feeling sad. Because it was a losing battle. If he could prove that what Lord Jing said was true, then Princess Yenling would make up her mind to replace him. What other choice did he have? Of course, she wouldn't let him abdicate. Death from some illness would be the best option. If he could prove that Lord Jing was lying, he would be so disappointed that his best friend had betrayed him. The Dongsang King believed Lord Jing, but he also hoped that the latter was telling the truth. Human nature was so complicated. Night Owl was in his residence, and soon, Lu Dabong came to fetch him. Seeing Lu, Night Owl sighed inwardly. His father was indeed the best strategist in the world. He had planned everything perfectly. Night Owl looked like he was going out as well. Master Lu. Night Owl asked loudly, what are you doing here? Master Lu was confused. Your Royal Highness, are you going out in the middle of the night? Night Owl nodded. I need to go to court. Master Lu asked, what's the matter? Can't it wait until tomorrow? Night Owl said anxiously, this is a serious matter, and the entire Dongsang Kingdom is at stake. I can't wait any longer. I have to go to court now. By the way, Master Lu, Master Lu immediately changed his wording. His Majesty cares about your Royal Highness, so he sent me here to see if you're doing well. Night Owl pleaded, let's put that aside for now. Master Lu, can you take me to His Majesty? Night Owl sounded quite sincere. Eunuch Lu seemed troubled, but he nodded in the end. He couldn't let the Crown Prince know that he had been sent by His Majesty to fetch him. In the palace. Father! Night Owl dropped to his knees as soon as he saw the Dongsang King. Father, I'm sorry. Please punish me. Emperor Wu stared at Night Owl. What did you do? Night Owl said, I didn't know that Princess Yenling would come to me and say such things. Father, I have no ill intentions. The Dongsang King stared at Master Lu and wondered if he had revealed the secret. Master Lu shook his head. Only then did the Dongsang King look at Night Owl again and say coldly, what did Princess Yenling say to scare you so much? You're the Crown Prince, so you should be more level-headed. Night Owl said between broken sobs, Father, I can't stay calm this time. Princess Yenling is a usurper. Thump! The Dongsang King dropped his teacup. What did you say? The king walked up to Night Owl and stared at him. Say that again. Night Owl cried as if he was scared out of his wits. Father, Princess Yenling has lost her mind. She's insane. I'm not on friendly terms with her. I'll never be in cahoots with her. Seeing that Night Owl was eager to clear his name, the Dongsang King waved his hand. I believe you're innocent. Tell me what Princess Yenling told you. Night Owl said, Father, Princess Yenling said, she accused you of not being qualified to be the king. She said that she was going to write a letter to her father and ask him to let her find a new king. That person she was talking about was me. Your Majesty, you're like a god to me. You were the one who taught me when I was little. The throne can't change that. Princess Yenling also threatened me. If I don't agree, she'll find someone else to be the king, or even herself. As for me, since she can kill my brother, it'll be a piece of cake for her to kill me. How dare she? The Dongsang King bellowed. Before, he only believed 30% of what Lord Jing said, but now, he was 50% convinced. Night Owl had practiced his act with Lord Jing. He said in a sad voice, "Father, she really said that. She really threatened me. Father, what should I do? I don't want to die." The Dongsang King took a deep breath. "Don't worry. I won't let you die. But I'll summon Princess Yen Ling to see what she wants." So, he was going to confront Princess Yen Ling? He would be able to tell who was telling the truth. Night Owl couldn't help but compliment Lord Jing in his head. Meanwhile, he said, "Father, if we bring Princess Yen Ling here, you'll alert her immediately." The Dongsang King gave Night Owl a suspicious look. He wouldn't let Princess Yen Ling come? Was the Crown Prince lying? Night Owl saw the suspicion in the Dongsang King's eyes, but he was prepared for it. "Father, when Princess Yen Ling came to see me, I was worried that she would try to harm me, so I used the spiritual fossil stone. That was why I recorded everything Princess Yen Ling said when she came to see me. Father, please have a look." Was that even possible? The Dongsang King took the spiritual fossil stone and saw what was inside. Princess Yen Ling had indeed proposed to work with Night Owl to remove the king from the throne. There wasn't much footage, but it was enough to make the Dongsang King furious. What the Dongsang King didn't know was Chapter 4042, Chapter 4042, Everything is Ready. Chapter 4042, Everything is Ready. Night Owl had tampered with the recording. It used to contain information about Night Owl's father, but it had long been edited out. "I can't believe it. How could she?" The Dongsang King was genuinely angry. He had thought that he had compromised enough with Princess Yen Ling, but she still wanted him dead. Did she want to find a new king just because she had the power? The Dongsang King stared at Night Owl. Night Owl felt a chill run down his spine when he saw the look in Dongsang King's eyes. Kneeling on the ground, he said, "Father, I'm loyal to you. Why would I come here to tell you all this if I'm not loyal? And why did I record the spiritual fossil stone in advance? If that was the case, I would have gone to plan it with Princess Yen Ling. Why would I come here to tell you now?" Dongsang King nodded inwardly. The Crown Prince had a point. He wasn't plotting against his father. If he really wanted to work with Princess Yen Ling, who had Lord Yen behind her, there was a high chance that he would become the new king. Poor Dongsang King. He had no idea what the Crown Prince was up to. He was trying to make Dongsang King the scapegoat. The Dongsang King was as experienced as he was said to be. He only took a few deep breaths before he calmed down. "What do you think we should do?" Dongsang King asked Night Owl. Night Owl and Lord Jing carefully considered the options in the secret room before they came up with the best one, and Night Owl brought it up now. "Kill Princess Yen Ling?" The Dongsang King frowned. "Yes." Night Owl had a solemn look on his face. "Father, as long as Princess Yen Ling isn't dead, we won't be able to solve this problem. She's so eager to make a new king that she can control that she's on the verge of going berserk. No one can make her get rid of that idea." The Dongsang King was worried. "But she represents the Dian Empire, and she's also a member of Lord Yan's residence." Night Owl said, "Father, I've noticed that it was Princess Yen Ling's individual choice, and even Ma Quan Quan doesn't agree with her. As soon as the princess is dead, they'll send someone else. It can't be worse than Princess Yen Ling's." The Dongsang King shook his head after some thought. Night Owl knew that the Dongsang King was intimidated by the Dian Empire, which was behind Princess Yen Ling. If the Dian Empire learned about the assassination of Princess Yen Ling, they would be furious. Night Owl whispered something in the Dongsang King's ear. Night Owl and Lord Jing had been thinking about this plan for a long time, and they had considered all the details. Based on their understanding of the Dongsang King, he would definitely be tempted. As expected, the Dongsang King's eyes lit up when Night Owl told him the plan, and he looked much better. If that's the case, I'll have to invite Lord Jing here, and he'll have to participate, the Dongsang King said excitedly. Night Owl feigned a frown. Father, Uncle Jing is a nice man, but it's too big a deal. If word gets out, it's not that I don't trust him, but we have to be careful. The more Night Owl said that he was estranged from Lord Jing, the happier Dongsang King was. Went to? What? The Crown Prince looked frightened. Father, what's that supposed to mean? Has she gone to see Uncle Jing? The Dongsang King looked at the Crown Prince and nodded. That's right, Lord. Jing came to report to me just before you arrived. The Dongsang King saw the lingering fear in the Crown Prince's eyes. He thought, the Crown Prince must think that if he hasn't come here to report to me, or if he was too late, I should make him nervous from time to time. Lord Jing soon arrived at the Imperial Palace and was surprised to see the Crown Prince there. Until the Dongsang King revealed the truth. Princess Yen Ling went to see you as well? Lord Jing looked at Night Owl. It seems that Princess Yen Ling is trying every possibility. If that's the case, after we turn her down, she'll find someone else. Now that Night Light is gone, will she go to the other princes? Realizing what he had said, Lord Jing immediately stopped talking. The Dongsang King had a brooding look in his eyes. His third, fourth, and fifth sons hadn't come to report to their father yet. One had to admit that Night Owl and Lord Jing were excellent actors. They had successfully fooled the Dongsang King. In the end, fine. The two of you go back and come up with a plan. Show it to me as soon as possible. The Dongsang King gave the order. After they left the Imperial Palace, Lord Jing and Night Owl exchanged looks, and both saw satisfaction in each other's eyes. The two of them arrived at the Crown Prince's residence. Since His Majesty had told them to come up with a plan, they naturally had to come up with a plan to deal with Princess Yen Ling. However, they had already come up with one. I didn't expect the king to be so stupid. He actually believed me. Night Owl looked at Lord Jing. You've set him up. Lord Jing waved his hand in satisfaction. The throne is his top priority, so as long as it's built around this throne, he has no choice but to fall into it. Night Owl asked, Is everything ready? Lord Jing smiled. We're only missing one thing. Night Owl frowned and said, We have to kill her in one go. Princess Yen Ling must die. Lord Jing nodded. Of course. Princess Yen Ling has to die, as do all the maids and servants in the residence. As for Yao Yuan, he's in another kingdom. We'll have finished the battle by the time he gets here. As for Ma Quan, we'll let Master Min lead him away. Night Owl asked, Are you sure that the person you hired can leave behind the scent of the Junwu Empire? That was right. That was why the Dongsang King was tempted. Night Owl and Lord Jing had plotted to kill Princess Yen Ling and the others, leaving behind the scent of the most capable cultivators of the Junwu Empire. Lord Jing smiled. You're right. Night Owl asked, Whose scent do you want to leave? Lord Jing stared at Night Owl. Night Owl's pupils contracted. Is it someone I know? Feng Wu? Lord Jing said, Feng Wu alone isn't enough. We'll also leave Jun Lin Yuan's scent. Night Owl was confused. How did you get their scent? Lord Jing said, We only need to leave a few hairs behind. The Dian Empire is so advanced in technology that they can tell who that person is from a hair or a drop of blood. It's amazing. Chapter 40-43 Chapter 40-43 Begin. Chapter 40-43 Begin. As for the hair and blood, well, they didn't pay much attention to it before. If they want to obtain it, they just have to use some tricks. After all, the princess of the Senile Grassland is still in Emperor Wu's harem. Night Owl gave Lord Jing an appreciative look. Feng Wu had no idea that the black-robed man who had lured the princess into the Junwu Empire's harem in the Sinal grassland was Lord Jing himself. They thought that no one would hear them, but Little Phoenix was in the secret room. Because of how critical the situation was, Little Phoenix had been following Night Owl around the entire time, and Night Owl had no idea. Feng Wu was equally shocked when Little Phoenix told her the plan. So, Lord Jing had her and Jun Linyuan's blood and hair? And the princess of the Sinal grassland got it for him. Feng Wu flared up. He was trying to frame her and Jun Linyuan. So be it. Feng Wu asked Little Phoenix to collect the hair and blood of Night Owl and Lord Jing for her. Night Owl didn't want anything to happen, so he wanted to finish the battle as soon as possible. He couldn't wait anymore. What if the Dongsang King suddenly changed his mind? On a dark, moonless night, a figure rushed into Princess Yenling's residence and tried to assassinate her. Assassins! When Princess Yenling realized what had happened, she cried out. Ma Quanquan was cultivating in his room with his eyes closed. To a cultivator at the peak of the spiritual saint stage, the attacker was indeed very capable. They almost fooled him. Who's there? Ma Quanquan shouted angrily. He drew out his sword. Soon, he heard the sound of fighting outside. Ma Quanquan frowned. The person was so powerful that they almost destroyed the formation around the princess's room. Ma Quanquan immediately sent a message to Yao Yuan. Yao Yuan had arrived from the Dian Empire with Ma Quanquan and was also at the peak of the spiritual saint stage. Ma Quanquan and Princess Yenling had been staying in the Dongsang Kingdom, while Yao Yuan had gone to the far north. He had some important tasks to do as well. However, Ma Quanquan felt threatened today, so he sent out the message. The Dian Empire was a technologically advanced empire, and they soon got in touch with each other. Come to Donglin City now! Ma Wanan made 3 exclamation marks in a row. After Yao Yuan received the news, he headed for Dongsang as fast as he could. He moved so fast that no one had time to react. However, at Yao Yuan's current speed, it would take him at least 15 minutes to reach Donglin City. However, there was no time to waste. Thump, thump, thump. The sound of fighting kept coming in the chilly night. Ma Quanquan fought and fell back, but his opponent kept closing in. In the end, he had no choice but to tear the space open and run into it. Ma Quanquan was astonished. Who was trying to assassinate the princess tonight? Were they from the Dongsang Kingdom? Or someone from the Junwu Empire? Ma Chuanchuan's eyes lit up. He stared at the spiritual saint and smirked. This is Donglin City, and I've sent a letter to the royal palace. If the Dongsang King hears about it, he'll send a capable cultivator to help us. Who are you? Are you sure you want to keep fighting? His opponent was none other than senior brother Min of the Dongsang King. If the Dongsang King really wanted to send reinforcements, it would have to be Master Min. Master Min knew that Ma Quanquan was trying to sound him out, so he didn't say anything, but he struck out even harder. Ma Quanquan looked in the direction of the Imperial Palace, but it was pitch black. Given Master Min's capability, he should have heard about the battle. Moreover, there was more than one peak spiritual saint in Donglin City. That was to say, Ma Quanquan looked terrified. You're from the Dongsang Kingdom. Do you people want to kill the messenger of the Dian Empire? Ma Quanquan was astonished. The Dian Empire had been supporting the Dongsang Kingdom all these years. How could the Dongsang Kingdom dare to do that? Master Min looked frustrated. Things were getting out of hand. The original plan was to only kill Princess Yenling, leave Ma Quanquan alive, and let Ma Quanquan find the hair. In the end, it would prove that Jun Linyuan of the Junwu Empire was the culprit. That way, the Dian Empire would be able to vent all their anger on the Junwu Empire, but now, since Ma Quanquan had found out the truth, he couldn't live anymore. Therefore, Master Min, who had been holding back, activated his sword intent. Ma Quan murmured in disbelief, "How dare you?" He was answered by Master Min's explosive power. After Master Min lured Ma Quan away, the residence became a piece of cake for Lord Jing. Because the guards had betrayed him before, Feng Wu pretended to be Jing Wei to let Princess Yen Ling know that he was a guard of the Jing mansion. Therefore, Lord Jing decided to do it himself. He was a level 2 spiritual saint, whereas Princess Yen Ling was only a peak spiritual overlord. Therefore, Lord Jing was confident that he was going to win. The formation around the building had been destroyed, so Lord Jing arrived in no time. Princess Yen Ling didn't realize how dangerous it was. She was having the greatest time of her life. She had been stuck at the peak of the spiritual overlord stage for a very long time. Tonight, she suddenly had an epiphany and had comprehended a new stage. As a result, she was making a breakthrough into the spiritual saint stage. The door opened with a click. Shi Jian was guarding Princess Yen Ling's door. Feng Wu was supposed to be there, but she was too smart to be exposed in a critical moment like this. She wasn't afraid of Lord Jing, but she was afraid that a peak spiritual saint might pop out of nowhere, and she might be killed. She had planned this battle so carefully that all she needed to do was watch it from afar. Hence, Feng Wu had hidden herself away. As expected, when Lord Jing arrived at the door and saw Princess Yen Ling's maid, he struck down with his sword. Shi Jian was dead before she could react. Lord Jing entered the room. The door made a cracking sound, which made Lord Jing frown a little. However, he soon realized that the sound didn't affect Princess Yen Ling's cultivation at all, for her breathing was well proportioned and she didn't seem nervous. With a sword in his hand, Lord Jing soon went into the inner room. He immediately spotted Princess Yen Ling, who was sitting on a cushion and absorbing spiritual essence. He didn't know if he should call Princess Yen Ling lucky or unlucky. Chapter 4044 Chapter 4044 Imminent Death. Chapter 4044 Imminent Death. After dreaming for so long, Princess Yen Ling was finally going to make a breakthrough tonight. She couldn't be more excited. However, when she opened her eyes, she saw a sword on her shoulder. Involuntarily, Princess Yen Ling looked up and saw a man dressed in black. He looked rather familiar, especially those eyes, which reminded her of someone she had seen before. Princess Yen Ling was perplexed. Wasn't Grandpa Ma guarding the door? How could someone reach her and point a dagger at her? Don't you know who I am? Princess Yen Ling found the act idiotic. How dare you point a dagger at my neck? Who are you? Do you have a death wish? The person under the black scarf smirked, and there was contempt in his eyes as well. He was looking at Princess Yen Ling as if she was a stupid pig. Feeling humiliated, Princess Yen Ling flew into a rage out of humiliation. You must have a death wish. How dare you treat me like this? Die. Princess Yen Ling suddenly raised her hand and shot an arrow in the person's face. However, she realized that the other party seemed to have come prepared and was very familiar with her behavior. As soon as she raised her hand, the other party pressed her sleeve back down and said sarcastically, "Princess, save your energy. It's useless to me." Princess Yen Ling was furious. You! Since the other party had subdued her so easily, Princess Yen Ling immediately realized that she wasn't his match. She was already a level I spiritual saint, but she still wasn't his match. Grandpa Ma! Princess Yen Ling cried out. She needed Ma Quan to save her. However, Ma Quan couldn't even save himself now. Princess Yen Ling wasn't stupid. She knew how serious the situation was when Ma Quan didn't show up after she asked for help. Princess Yen Ling used her spiritual essence to communicate with the spiritual jade, but she realized that the spiritual essence around her had been sealed, and she couldn't send out any distress signals. Only then did Princess Yenling realize how dangerous the situation was. You! Princess Yenling gritted her teeth and stared at the man. Who on earth are you? What do you want? I'm the princess of the Dian Empire. I can give you anything you want. The man smirked as if he was amused by Princess Yenling. You! An idea then struck Princess Yenling. She suddenly remembered someone, and her face went ghastly pale. You! I know who you are. Princess Yenling stared at the man. You're Lord Jing. You're him. Seeing that Princess Yenling had recognized him, Lord Jing took off his black scarf. Since he was here to assassinate her, he shouldn't have done that. But Lord Jing was so pleased with himself that he thought he had everything under control. Moreover, he wanted to see the astonished look on Princess Yenling's face, so he decided to remove his mask. It really is you. Princess Yenling gritted her teeth and stared at him. Are you going to kill me? Lord Jing nodded. Princess Yenling smirked. You're just a petty Lord Jing. How can you kill me? Aren't you afraid that the Dian Empire will take revenge? Lord Jing gave Princess Yenling a strange look. Princess Yenling stuck out her chest and glared at him. Princess, why do you still not understand? Lord Jing patted Princess Yenling on the shoulder and said in an earnest tone, As a matter of fact, your life is in my hands now. Princess Yenling said, Grandpa Ma is. Lord Jing smiled. Are you still counting on your Grandpa Ma? If he could show up, he would have done so as soon as you called him. Why wait? Princess Yenling gritted her teeth and stared at Lord Jing. Who's behind you? Why do you want to kill me? Lord Jing heaved a long sigh. He said, Princess, are you stalling for time? Do you think your Grandpa Ma will come to save you? You're mistaken. Master Min is a better fighter than your Grandpa Ma. He won't come back in time. Princess Yenling said, How dare you? Lord Jing smiled. Since I know you're stalling, do you know why I'm still answering your questions? Because I'm sure of my plan, Princess Yenling. Everything's been arranged. You can go to hell. Don't worry. If you're dead, the Dongsang Kingdom won't be implicated. Even if the Dian Empire wants to do something, it'll have to go to the Junwu Empire. Princess Yenling took the hint right away. So, you're not the only one who wants to kill me. Night Owl and the Dongsang King want to kill me as well. Without the Dongsang King, you won't be able to persuade Master Min to restrain Grandpa Ma. Yes. Why? Princess Yenling stared at Lord Jing. Why? I understand that you and Night Owl want to kill me because Night Owl is your son. If you want to keep it a secret, you have to kill me. But why did the Dongsang King want to kill me? Why? Lord Jing gave her a half-smile. Do you want to know? Princess Yenling said, Tell me. Lord Jing chuckled. It's nothing, really. If you hadn't been so aggressive, Princess Yenling, we wouldn't have attacked you. Do you know how difficult it is to set you up? Princess Yenling said, You set me up? That's right. You set me up from the very beginning. You took me away on purpose so that Night Light could humiliate me. You then provoked me to kill Night Light after you recorded us. What did you do after that? How did you trick the Dongsang King? Lord Jing suddenly said, Princess Yenling, you must regret that you didn't tell His Majesty in advance, right? Princess Yenling said, Yes, I regret that I didn't tell His Majesty that Night Owl was your son. Otherwise, you and Night Owl would have been dead by now. You would never have had the chance to act so arrogantly in front of me. Lord Jing patted Princess Yenling on the cheek. That's right. You're kinder than me. Princess Yenling said angrily, I'm going to die. Can't you answer my question? How did you fool the Dongsang King? Tell me. Lord Jing seemed to be magnanimous. All right. It's getting late. I'll let you know before you die. Hence, Lord Jing told them how he and Night Owl had joined hands. Chapter 40-45 Chapter 40-45 Kind Words. Chapter 40-45 Kind Words. Lord Jing then told Princess Yen Ling how he and Night Owl had made the Dongsang King misunderstand her, how they had invited Master Min, and how they had framed the Junwu Empire. After hearing that, Princess Yen Ling was astonished. How? She stared at Lord Jing and gritted her teeth. How dare you set me up? You deserve to die. Lord Jing smiled at Princess Yen Ling. Princess, you should live with the fact that you've lost the bet. Since you're not as good at scheming as I am, there's no need to blame other people for being scheming. Don't you agree? He moved closer to Princess Yen Ling as he spoke. Seeing that things were turning against her, Princess Yen Ling turned to flee. However, Lord Jing was prepared. He struck out when Princess Yen Ling turned to flee. Thump, thump, thump. The sound of fighting filled the air. Princess Yen Ling was already outside the building, but Lord Jing caught up with her in no time. Before long, Princess Yen Ling fell to the ground. Lord Jing slid his sword across Princess Yen Ling's throat. Princess Yen Ling lay in a pool of blood and stared at Lord Jing with wide-open eyes. Lord Jing Smirku won. Fearing Tnat, Princess Yen Ling was still alive, and he raised Ms sword again and stabbed her in the chest. Blood gushed out of Princess Yen Ling's mouth, and she shuddered. Finally, she was dead. But he still wasn't convinced. After casting a stern look at Princess Yen Ling and making sure that she wasn't breathing, he waved his hand, and a streak of flame jumped onto her. Whoosh! Flames spread out and soon devoured Princess Yen Ling. You're dead after all. Lord Jing sneered at Princess Yen Ling. From now on, no one will know my secret. You'll have a worthy death after my son takes the throne. Go to hell. He stepped on Princess Yen Ling's dead body. With a wave of his hand, flames gushed out. Night Owl had killed all the servants in the courtyard where Princess Yen Ling lived. All Lord Jing needed to do was set fire to everything. As for why, that was to destroy the evidence. Lord Jing had no idea how advanced the technology of the Empire was, so he decided to burn everything to the ground, just in case. Even if they wanted to look into it in the end, they could only trace it back to Jun Linyuan and Feng Wu. Lord Jing deliberately left a smear of blood in Princess Yen Ling's room before he left. The divine phoenix blood. The divine blood of the dragon phoenix. The 2 drops of blood were too recognizable for Jun Linyuan and Feng Wu to escape. When he walked out of the manor, flames rose behind him, setting the entire place on fire. Is it done? Night Owl looked at Lord Jing. Lord Jing nodded. We'll talk about it when we get back. Night Owl was still concerned. Have you left the blood and the hair? Is Princess Yen Ling really dead? And Lord Jing waved his hand. Don't worry. I've prepared everything. Night Owl was relieved when he saw the raging fire and knew that Princess Yen Ling was dead. Let's go. Someone's coming. Lord Jing dragged Night Owl back to the Crown Prince's residence. But they still couldn't calm down. They had done what they needed to do, but Ma Quan, Princess Yen Ling's aide, was a tough enemy. They hoped that Master Min would take care of him. Don't worry. Master Situ is there as well, said Lord Jing. They're both His Majesty's top cultivators. Ma Quan won't make it out alive. Night Owl glanced at him and asked, Isn't he your master? Aren't you sad at? Lord Jing snorted. Ever since he took me in as his pupil, he hasn't harbored any good intentions. It'll only make it easier for him to work in the Dongsang Kingdom. Why should I miss such a person? Meanwhile, in the princess's residence, they all thought Princess Yen Ling was dead. It was true. Lord Jing had made many lethal attacks and even set Princess Yen Ling on fire. How could she still be alive? But what he didn't know was that the girl who had been hiding in the dark was showing her face now. Princess Yenling's formation had a secret safe zone, which was a well. Feng Wu had been hiding in the well when the fire broke out in the courtyard. Feng Wu dodged to the side in a hurry, only to find a fireball falling into the well. It was Princess Yenling. Well water couldn't put out the fire Lord Jing put on her, but Feng Wu put out the fire in no time. However, by then, Princess Yenling was barely breathing. She turned her head and saw someone. It was So. Xing Xiang, you're not dead. Princess Yenling looked excited. She wanted to grab her maid, but she couldn't even lift a finger. Feng Wu feigned a surprised tone as well. Princess, is that you? Why are you here? Are you all right? Feng Wu sounded very concerned. Princess Yenling said, Why are you here? On her way here, she had seen that the courtyard was filled with dead bodies. Almost everyone in the courtyard was dead, but there was still a living person here. Feng Wu said between broken sobs, I've always had a weak stomach, and it was the same this time. I couldn't stand the abdominal pain in the middle of the night, so I went to use the toilet in secret, but I saw someone running into the courtyard and setting things on fire. I was scared, so I hid in the well and waited until now. Princess Yenling took a deep breath. She knew that she had almost reached her limit. Princess, please don't worry. I'm sure you'll be all right. I'll go get the medicine. Feng Wu was a good actress, and at the last moment, she still wanted to set Princess Yenling up. Feng Wu believed that Princess Yenling was beyond saving. Even a semi-divine refinement master like her couldn't do anything about it, let alone pills. Princess Yenling had to know that answer herself. Don't. As expected, Princess Yenling stopped Feng Wu, who was about to climb out of the well, and said slowly, I don't have much time left. Remember everything. I'm going to tell you. Feng Wu agreed in tears. Princess Yenling said, I was killed by Lord Jing, Night Owl, and the Dongsang King. Chapter 40-46, Chapter 40-46, Three Things. Chapter 40-46, Three Things. Feng Wu said, All right. Princess Yen King said, There's a spiritual fossil stone on top of a bookshelf in my room. It contains everything Lord Jing told me. Take it later and keep it safe. Wait for the second batch of reinforcements to arrive. If I remember it correctly, my brother will be among the second reinforcements. When you give him that spiritual fossil stone, everything will be clear. My brother will take revenge for me. Princess Yenling smirked. They thought they had eliminated the root of the problem, but they didn't know that I had recorded everything. The Dongsang Kingdom is going to die with me. That's the first thing. Understood? Feng Wu said in a hurry, Of course. Princess Yenling nodded, took a breath, and went on. Secondly, Feng Wu feigned astonishment. No. That's impossible. Absolutely impossible. I don't believe it. I don't. Princess Yenling glared at Feng Wu. Shut up. Feng Wu immediately shut up. It took Princess Yenling a while to recover a little strength. I don't have time for this. Just remember everything I say. Tell my brother to kill Feng Wu for me. He must kill her. As for Jun Linyuan, kill him and make him my husband after death. Understood? Feng Wu's eyes widened. Princess Yenling asked, Got it? Feng Wu nodded. Yes. Princess Yenling didn't hear the change in Feng Wu's tone, for she was already in a trance-like state. Thirdly, take this. Princess Yenling took out a brocade box from her chest pocket. This is a map. The things Mu Jiuzhou took with him when he left the Empire are buried here. Grandpa Ma and Grandpa Yao have explored this place. Hand it to my brother and let him find the treasure. Remember, even if it's destroyed, you can't let the Junwu Empire take it. Otherwise, if they have it, the Junwu Empire will become much more powerful, and it'll be much more difficult for us to turn the people of this continent into a sacrificial offering. Since the Yen Manor has such a responsibility, we have to finish it. It's the mission of the Yen family for generations to come. Alright, that's it. If you can remember all 3, my brother will give you a reward. I know you like my brother. Although you can't become his official wife, he can still make you a concubine. Princess Yen Ling coughed violently and trembled. She had almost reached her limit. Feng Wu glanced at her. When Princess Yen Ling finally stopped coughing and was able to breathe normally again, she noticed that the look in Feng Wu's eyes wasn't right. What are you waiting for? Go get that spiritual fossil stone from the living room. Princess Yen Ling prompted Feng Wu, and she began to cough violently again. Feng Wu noticed that blood was oozing out of her mouth. She asked Princess Yen Ling, "Are you done?" Princess Yen Ling looked at her in bewilderment. "What did you say?" Feng Wu looked at her and suddenly smiled. There was a mischievous and teasing look in her smile, and there were many things that Princess Yen Ling didn't understand. "You!" Princess Yen Ling came back to herself and trembled violently. "You're not Xingxiang. You're not Xingxiang, are you?" She was shaking from head to toe and was coughing violently. When she was finally done coughing, she was almost dead. "Who on earth are you?" Princess Yen Ling stared at Feng Wu. "I'm going to die." Princess Yen Ling grabbed Feng Wu's sleeve, and her pupils contracted. She stared at Feng Wu. "Before I die, tell me, who on earth are you?" Feng Wu looked at her and sighed. "If you know you're going to die, why didn't you accumulate some good karma? That ghost marriage thing? TSK. You're. Princess Yen Ling immediately recognized the sarcasm in Feng Wu's voice. "It's you." Gritting her teeth, Princess Yen Ling glared at Feng Wu. "Feng Wu. It's you, isn't it?" Feng Wu didn't try to hide it from her. She removed her disguise. "Ah!" Princess Yen Ling was astonished when she saw Feng Wu's face. Her mouth fell open, and she pointed at Feng Wu with a trembling finger. She couldn't utter a word. When she realized what had happened, she screamed. "It's you! It's you!" Princess Yen Ling's head went blank, and it took her a while to come back to herself. "You know how to disguise yourself as my maid. Since when did you start pretending to be Xingxiang? No, you can move freely in the formation. Are you with Lord Jing? No, it's not like that. You're the one who made me shift my attention to Lord Jing. You hold grudges against him, and you're definitely not on his side. Lord Jing and Night Owl are on the same team, so you're not one of them. Who else could it be? Night Light? No." Princess Yen Ling's eyes widened and she stared at Feng Wu. "Your current level, you." She was already a level I spiritual saint, but she couldn't sense Feng Wu's spiritual essence, which meant, "Well, I'm a level 2 spiritual saint now." Feng Wu grinned at her. Princess Yen Ling was shocked. Her eyes widened, and she stared at Feng Wu in disbelief. You can't be. You'll need a lot of resources." Feng Wu sighed. "Why not? Lord Jing's mansion has a lot of resources, and I can use them all. So, I reached level 2 of the spiritual saint stage in no time." Princess Yen Ling seemed to have been reminded of something, and her eyes widened. "I remember now. It was you. That guard. I saw you outside Night Owl's manor. You were that guard, and you smell the same." Princess Yen Ling was a smart girl. After figuring that out, she was very close to the truth. "Since you can stay by my side as Xingxiang, you can also become Lord Jing's guard. You used the resources of the Jing Manor to make yourself a level 2 spiritual saint, then you." Princess Yen Ling stared at Feng Wu. "Then, you teamed up with Lord Jing and took me to Night Light's private residence so that he could humiliate me. You then recorded everything." Feng Wu shook her head. "Yes, I did snatch you, but I left after I left you there. As for what happened after that, you can't blame me." Chapter 4047 Princess is dead. Chapter 40-47, Princess is dead. So, it really was you. It really was you. Princess Yen Ling was shaking from head to toe. When Lord Jing received the spiritual fossil stone, he instigated me to kill the second prince. Then, you lured me to the Jing manor, forcing Lord Jing to attack me himself. And there's the Dongsang King. Lord Jing has admitted that they lied to him on purpose, making him think that I was going to usurp the throne. After everything you've done, I have to take the blame. You people are Adamadi 1e. Princess Yen Ling was so angry that she was in tears. She stared at Feng Wu and said, "Especially you. What good will it do you?" Feng Wu said indifferently, "What do you think?" Princess Yen Ling didn't know what to say, but she soon realized what had happened, and her pupils contracted. "I see. You're trying to set the empire against the Dongsang kingdom. You used me, Lord Jing, Night Owl, and even the second prince. And the Dongsang king and his capable men. You've been killing with borrowed knives. You let Lord Jing set me up, let me kill the second prince, and let Lord Jing join hands with the Dongsang king to kill me. You're abominable." When Yen Ling realized what had happened, she thought she was going to lose her mind. Feng Wu noticed that the veins on Princess Yen Ling's face were popping as if she was going to explode at any moment. Feng Wu smiled at her. "You only figured it out now? It's too late." Princess Yen Ling shouted at Feng Wu, "You won't get what you want. The empire will still take the Dongsang kingdom's side. Junwu has to die." Feng Wu smiled. "Of course not. Princess, didn't you tell me to do 3 things? After I finish them for you, the Dongsang kingdom will be the first kingdom to be destroyed." Recalling the 3 things she had told Feng Wu, Princess Yen Ling almost had a heart attack. However, before she spat out more blood, Feng Wu had already jumped out of the well, leaving Princess Yen Ling behind, who was still spitting out blood. Princess Yen Ling was probably dying from rage. Before Princess Yen Ling closed her eyes, Feng Wu added, "Since you want the flesh of my people as the sacrificial altar, I'll make you a blood sacrifice first." An altar? What on earth had she told Feng Wu? Princess Yen Ling was furious. She couldn't ask because she was blind and mute. She couldn't make a sound. "Princess, don't worry. I'll help you with those 3 things." Feng Wu grinned at Princess Yen Ling. Princess Yen Ling spat out another mouthful of blood. "Calm down, calm down, calm down." However, no matter how many times Princess Yen Ling told herself not to get angry, in the end, she was still furious at Feng Wu. What worried her the most was, she had given such a critical map to Feng Wu. Was this a sign that the Junwu Empire was going to survive? However, Princess Yen Ling had no way of knowing what would happen next, because she was dead. Feng Wu gave Princess Yen Ling a long look and shook her head. She then ran through the fire as fast as a streak of lightning. "She's dead." Little Phoenix was speechless. Her rage killed her. Feng Wu said indifferently, "I guess she deserved to die for her unjust behavior." Little Phoenix looked at Feng Wu. "I feel sorry for your enemy." Feng Wu smiled bitterly. "I wish everyone was my friend, but I can't. I've always wanted to be a good person, but I just can't. She was responsible for the lives of so many people of the Junwu Empire. If she couldn't bring herself to do these things, did she have to let the Dian Empire crush all the people of the Junwu Empire and turn them into the cornerstones of the altar? Soon, Feng Wu arrived at the living room Princess Yen Ling mentioned. Following her directions, she found the spiritual fossil stone. She could do a lot of things with it. "Someone's coming," Little Phoenix warned her. Feng Wu nodded and left as fast as she could with Little Phoenix. On her way out, she caught a glimpse of a familiar figure. Yao Yuan was back, wasn't he? Yao Yuan was the Grandpa Yao that Princess Yen Ling was talking about. Yao Yuan and Ma Quanquan were both peak spiritual saints, but Ma Quanquan stayed with Princess Yen Ling the whole time. Yao Yuan, on the other hand, seemed to be searching for something. Feng Wu was about to leave when she saw Yao Yuan tear the space open and enter another dimension. That was right. Spiritual saint battles usually took place in different dimensions, because in this real world, one might not be able to withstand a single punch. If one couldn't control their momentum, the damage they could cause would be too great. They could fight freely in the other dimensions without having to worry about anything. Let's go, Little Phoenix urged Feng Wu. However, Feng Wu hesitated and didn't move. No one knew what she was thinking. Little Phoenix said, "Hey, don't tell me you have another idea. My dear lady, do you have any idea what level you are now? You're only a level 2 spiritual saint. Do you know how capable they are? They're peak spiritual saints. There's so much difference between you and them. Do you still want to join their battle?" Feng Wu was a little frustrated. "I didn't want to. I just wanted to stay there and see if I could get something out of it." Little Phoenix was furious. "Benefits? You've received so many, and you're still asking for more? Do you know how dangerous it is for you to go there like this?" Feng Wu said, I know. Little Phoenix said, "If you do, why don't you leave now?" Crouching down in the rockery, Feng Wu waved at the bird. "Just wait a little longer. Maybe everyone inside is dead. As you said, they're all peak spiritual saints. I'm sure they all have storage spaces. If we can find something good," Little Phoenix said, "I don't think the battle will end any time soon." Feng Wu shook her head. "No, it won't be long." Little Phoenix asked, "Why? Which side do you think will win?" Feng Wu said, "The Dongseng Kingdom, of course." Little Phoenix was confused. "Why the Dongseng Kingdom? I think Yao Yuan is more capable than Ma Quanquan. Min may not be his match." Feng Wu only smiled. Chapter 40-48 Chapter 40-48 Minister Chu 1 Chapter 40-48 Minister Chu 1 Feng Wu was a level 2 spiritual saint now, so she didn't need to wear the Qilin armor. She could stay in another dimension without getting killed by the wind. Feng Wu had been crouching on a slope and didn't move any closer. 4 people were fighting in the distance. They were all at the deek of the spiritual saint stage, and there was no place for a junior spiritual saint like her. Master Min and Master Yao belonged to the Dongseng Kingdom. There were also Ma Quanquan and Yao Yuan, 2 peak spiritual saints of Dian. Ma Quanquan recognized Master Min as soon as they started fighting, despite the fact that Master Min wore a black robe with a black scarf over his face. Ma Quanquan only knew it in his head, but he didn't call out the man's name. If he did, the other party would stop at nothing to silence him. Therefore, he couldn't reveal that he already knew who the other party was. Why did the Dongseng King send Minichen to kill him? Thump! There was a loud explosion. Ma Quanquan looked in that direction and saw that Yao Yuan had severely injured his opponent. Ma Quanquan didn't know who Yao Yuan's opponent was, but he was sure that they were from the Dongseng Kingdom. Great! Ma Quanquan was excited. If Yao Yuan could defeat his opponent and give Ma Quanquan a hand, the latter would be able to defeat Minichen. Someone was watching the battle through a spiritual fossil stone. It was none other than the Dongseng King. He frowned. "Your Majesty?" Lu, the steward of the eunuchs, was surprised because the king didn't look too happy. "Yao Shao isn't his match." The Dongseng King rose to his feet. "Your Majesty, do you mean?" Before Lu could finish, the king dashed off. Lu followed suit. Was His Majesty going to do it himself? But with His Majesty's capability, even if he did it himself now. "I know where His Majesty is going." As expected, the Dongseng King was indeed heading for that powerful cultivator. The Dongseng King straightened his clothes and had a stern look on his face when he arrived at the valley. "Minister Chu," said the Dongseng King. It was none other than Chu Tianxiao, Feng Wu's third senior brother. To the king's surprise, Chu Tianxiao was watching the battle as well. Chu Tianxiao frowned when he saw the Dongsang king. The king smiled gingerly. Chu Tianxiao frowned when he saw the Dongsang king staring at the water curtain. If he stared at it for too long, he might notice Feng Wu. The Dongsang king was a very smart man. At that thought, Chu Tianxiao waved his sleeve, and the water curtain disappeared. Chu Tianxiao stared at him, and the smile froze on the Dongsang king's face. A chill ran down his spine. If you have something to say it. Cut the crap. Chu Tianxiao found the king annoying. The Dongsang king cleared his throat to cover up his embarrassment, then slowly told Chu Tianxiao what had happened. So, you're going to kill the imperial emissary? Chu Tianxiao looked at the Dongsang king, as if he was looking at an idiot. The Dongsang king had a bitter look on his face. He wouldn't have done such a thing if he had a choice, but now, You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.